Michael's face St Eunan's on Saturday at 5 in Ballybuffet. And then, in a repeat of the 2020 final, holders Naomh Conaill meet Kilcar in Letterkenny on Sunday at 1:45. Join the Highland teams this weekend with expert analysis from Martin McHugh and Brendan Devaney. The Donegal Senior Football Championship on Highland is in association with Highland Motors Mountain Top Letterkenny. Test drive the new Dacia Sandero and Stepway, totally redesigned and still shockingly affordable from just €39 per week. Terms and conditions apply.
That's it from Sunny Side Up for this Friday morning. We will talk to you Tuesday morning, 6:30am bright and early. Have a great bank holiday weekend. Now it's over to Greg Hughes for the 9 to Noon Show. Morning, Greg.
Good morning, Rory. Enjoy your well-earned long weekend. It is the 9 till Noon Show. Our Friday panel around about to join us, I should say. But first we'll get a news update, and it's good morning to Catherine Gaffney.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The head of the HSE says he's anxious to see healthcare workers receive a COVID-19 booster vaccine soon. Around 1,800 healthcare staff are out of work at present with COVID-related issues. The National Immunisation Advisory Committee has recommended over 60s receive a booster jab, but not healthcare workers yet. Paul Reid admits this concerns him.
I'm not the expert, and NIAC are the experts in this, and they're the ones who assess the evidence. But obviously, leading the health service, I would be really anxious as soon as possible that we can get our healthcare workers vaccinated. They were vaccinated very early throughout the whole process, and I'm just really anxious that we keep those levels of protection strong, not just for themselves, but equally for vulnerable people that we support.
Those involved in the nightlife industry say it's a huge relief to finally have a reopening plan. Nightclubs can reopen tonight at 100% capacity, and pubs and restaurants no longer have to close at 11:30. Up to 1,500 people can stand at indoor gigs, and people can get a drink at the bar while staying 2 metres apart. Martin Nolan, owner of MPI Artists Booking Agency, says it's great news.
The shackles have finally been removed. Like the term first to close, last to reopen, it wasn't a flippant slogan that was coined. It's actually the reality of our industry. So that's just literally what it feels like, that the shackles have been removed.
And the Vice President of the Garda Representative Association says the drop in Garda numbers in Donegal comes as no surprise. Latest figures show that there are 13 less Gardaí stationed in the county this year compared with 2020. However, when compared with the fleet in 2008, there are almost 40 fewer now currently serving in the Donegal Garda division. Vice President of the GRA, Brendan O'Connor, says any new recruits coming down the tracks will only balance the situation out.
We will continue to see people retire and move laterally. There's a shortage of sergeants here in the division as well, so we will see members of Garda rank promoted. So, the numbers being banded about as extra will only keep things at a standing still and maybe replenish what will be lost. So I wouldn't be particularly hopeful that we'll see any big uplift in numbers, but it's very important that we keep pushing hard and ensuring that Donegal is not forgotten when the results have been given out.
Weather now, some brighter sunny spells today, but there will be a good deal of cloud overall. Scattered showers will spread from the west in a moderate westerly breeze. Highest temperatures between 11 and 13 degrees. That's it for now. We're back with more 10. Until then, good morning.
At SuperValue, we've amazing low prices with great offers like save 33% in our steak sale with SuperValue Fresh Irish Strip Loin Steak, SuperValue Signature Taste award-winning breakfast deal, only €5, SuperValue Signature Taste Party Food, any two for €7, and Heineken 24-pack cans, only €24. SuperValue, real food, real people. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
The 9 till Noon Show with National Fuels, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. For all your solid fuel needs at the keenest prices. 9137 400 or nationalfuels.ie. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. You're welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show. It is 4 minutes past 9 on this Friday the 22nd of October, and I do hope you're well. Our Friday panel will be joining us very shortly, but we want your views too. Make sure you're involved. Text 086 60 25,000. That's your number for WhatsApps as well. 086 60 25,000. Caroline is back taking your calls on 07491 25,000. And if you wish to comment on email. It's comments@highlandradio.com. And good morning if you're joining us on our Facebook pages. Feel free to interact with us there. And we're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. That's Highland Radio Ireland if you want to watch the programme there. Okay, it's time to introduce our panel this morning. We say good morning first to Pat O'Connor, retired Professor of Sociology and Social Policy at Limerick University. Good morning to you, Pat, as always. It's great to have you with us.
Good morning.
And we're also joined by Seamus McDade, Managing Director of McDade's Football Special. Good morning to you, Seamus.
Morning, Greg.
Great to have you on board, as it is Lorraine Thompson, Donegal Youth Service Regional Director. Hi, Lorraine.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Lovely to have you all with us, and lovely to be able to hear and see you too. Right, okay. As you just heard from Catherine there, those involved in the nightclub industry say it's a huge relief. They're finally opening. Nightclubs now can open at 100% capacity, and pubs and restaurants no longer have to close at 11:30, though I think many of us might miss that, being told to go home. Up to 1,500 people can stand at indoor gigs, and people can get a drink at the bar while staying 2 metres apart. So you'll be able to go into your local and go up and exercise social distancing, but order a drink at the bar. And all of this is with the backdrop, of course, that we are seeing an increase in hospitalisations and ICU numbers. What's your take on it all, Lorraine? Because it's kind of, there's a sort of sense of euphoria that, we are getting back to where we should be, but then there's this sort of reality that's there front and centre.
Sure, yeah. And I guess, Greg, it's a mixed bag, really, isn't it? You have this, sense of progression. And we are where we should be, albeit there has been, I think, some adjustments to what had initially been predicted for October 2020. But I think it's fantastic. The nightclub industry, obviously, the longest closed, the hardest hit. So it is the sense of getting back to a degree of normality. It's a long time since I was in a nightclub, and I have to say I have no plans to go back tonight or any other night. But I am delighted for the industry that they're getting to reopen. And all of the feedback that I've heard on the news over the last few days, that sense has been echoed, even with all the concerns around the lack of communication and the lack of detail that has been provided. There is a sense of, let us get our doors open, let us get on with it, and let us deal with these restrictions in the best way that we can.
I mean, we can point out contradictions and anomalies left, right and centre, and there can be a bit of humour in that. But look, at the end of the day, this is a framework that we're being asked to take personal responsibility in, and business owners are trying to say, look, as much as you can, this is what will give us the best chance of staying open throughout winter.
Yes, and we can all be very cynical about how these social distancing and lines and, people kind of staying together on the dance floor and apart whenever they walk off the dance floor. We can be very cynical about that, but I think we have to give it a chance. And I also think people have to realise it's not going to be the way it was. So once we get that into our heads and we realise that the protective measures that can be put in place, they need to be adhered to. And we hear all the time about, if you go into a situation and you feel unsafe, you have the right to leave. So people have to take a sense of personal responsibility. But my sense is the people that are planning to go get ready tonight and get ready to go to nightclubs will be going to have the nightclub experience that they have missed over the last 18 months.
And for the first time, many people who have turned 18, they might be 19, pushing 20 now, they don't know what's going on. They could be very well disappointed.
Yes, I think so. And I know I've said it here before. I have a 19-year-old myself. And there's a huge amount of excitement that things are getting to reopen and planning around nights out. Even looking forward to Christmas, which is a big thing. Boxing Night, New Year's Eve, all of those really big nights for nights out. So there is a sense of, something to look forward to. Young people who have experienced their 18th birthday parties during lockdown, sitting in their bedrooms, having a Zoom party with their friends. I just think it's really important that we can progress whilst, being a little bit, cynical around maybe some of the restrictions, but we need to move forward. Otherwise, what else are we going to do? Sit in our houses?
Yeah. Pat O'Connor, are you optimistic, or do you get a sense of Christmas 2020?
Yes, I'm afraid I disagree very much with Lorraine. I think I have a distinct feeling of deja vu. This is terrifying, really, According to Professor McInerney on the prime time last night, our infections are 2/3 of what is in the UK per 100,000. So effectively, this is without opening nightclubs, etc. So really, we are, and it has been said, on a knife edge. So in these circumstances, actually taking this step is, to me, completely irresponsible. It sort of reminds me of, a parent who's worn down by a toddler nagging, who eventually gives in and says, okay, stuff your face with sweets. And in a way, at worst, the child would get sick, right, and vomit. But here in this case, effectively, what we're likely to have is a dramatic increase in deaths, hospitalizations. Already elective surgery has been cancelled in Limerick and Galway. So it raises the question, what has the last 21 months been all about?
Okay, well, with that in mind, Pat, then let me put it to you, right? The like 92% of adults have got vaccinated, and they would have got vaccinated, yes, to protect themselves and those around them, but also because it was seen as a pathway to normality. You talked about the last 18, 20 months. Everyone has made enormous sacrifices to protect the most vulnerable, and I think the majority of us continue to employ the basics to try and best keep those who are vulnerable well. So with the level of vaccination that we have, with the amount of sacrifices that people have had, and with this perpetual sort of borrowing to try and pay people not to work, we have no option, do we? We have to get to endemic stage. We can't live in a pandemic perpetually.
Well, I mean, in a way, Waterford is a real interesting example of how where vaccinations are not enough. And I think we've been told that, but we haven't really believed it. In Waterford, 99.7% of those adults in the county have been fully vaccinated. And yet Waterford has the highest number of cases, higher even than the border counties. Now, we really haven't, NEFIT or the CMO, hasn't really explained how this is, what is happening, where are the sites. And we need to drill down to really understand this, because we've been told as long as a vaccination is important, yes, absolutely, but it's not enough. What is criminal, Orla Hegarty, whom I don't personally know, by the way, so it's not a plug for her, she has a pain in her face for the past 21 months talking about ventilation. Now, if we were going to open the nightclubs and to the live entertainment venues to 100%, the first thing that should have been stressed is ventilation. The focus on washing your hands, well, the only thing it reminds me of is Pontius Pilate, It's just the government has lost the plot. They've given in. They've said, right, okay, so we're headed for death's disaster. Another meaningful Christmas.
Yeah, all right. And I mean, yeah, I get you. That's your point of view, and others might think it's going a little too far, but as I say, that's why we invite our guests on to hear their views. Seamus McDade, Managing Director of McDade's Football Special. What do you think? I mean, maybe the government had an opportunity towards the end of the summer to do all of this, and we'd have had a better idea of how to do things when there wasn't flu around, when there wasn't respiratory illness around, and when it wasn't cold and wet.
Well, I think, fundamentally from the business perspective, asking these premises to continue to remain closed is just unfair at this stage, because the cohort who are going to attend the nightclubs tonight, as we've kind of already said, are in the younger ages who are less affected by this anyway, and they're already mixing out in different facilities, be it in universities or in secondary schools, or just then in house parties and things. So the idea that it's either open a nightclub or all 19-year-olds are going to sit at home is wrong. They're mixing anyway, so they may as well do it in a place of business, because these businesses have had to stay closed for nearly 2 years. And that's not, while that is a very difficult place for the business to be, the Irish Exchequer as well, and the state is giving government supports as well. So we have to get past a point in time where businesses are being forced to close. Now, that does not mean, I fully accept Pat's point of view, that does not mean that people need to start going out and running rampant, the COVID still exists. But I fundamentally disagree with the idea that this is the same as last Christmas, because last Christmas we did not have any vaccines. We do have vaccinations now. And Pat makes a good point on Waterford, but I would counter that and say it's NPHET's job to find out what's happening in Waterford. Why are they not telling us what's happening there? We haven't made any changes fundamentally to how health is carried out, the health service in this country is carried out.
The lack of conversation on the Waterford thing, either by NPHET or the HSE generally, or as the population, is peculiar, because it really is very, very strange. Highest rate of population, highest rate of infection, 24 in hospital, 18 fully vaccinated.
Well, I would say, Greg, too, people couldn't wait to lock down Donegal whenever we were in the same place. And there was lots of people throwing arrows our way about what we were doing here, that not following public health guidance. When lots of people here were saying there was all sorts of other reasons. So I would say there's lots of reasons why Waterford is happening. But it's another example of the government not, if we look at the UK's response to this, there was outbreaks in Bolton, and they made that a hotspot of vaccinations, and they targeted that area. We've done no sort of local.
But I mean,
outbreak.
we can't really. We don't want to be comparing ourselves to England in terms of the response. I mean, they're looking at 100,000 cases a day and thousands dying every week. Where you have the health secretary saying, we are lucky that only 1,000 and 1,200 people died last week.
Yes, I would. I appreciate that, Greg. But they've also said that the NHS is not under significant pressure, even with all these cases, because they have a health service that's robust and is able to deal with people in hospital. We have added very little extra capacity to ours. We're almost 2 years into this pandemic, and we're still the only solution we have is to close businesses. And we need to try to get past a point where staying in your home is the only advice you can get, because this is, I think what we're all starting to realize is that this is going to be with us for another number of years. And last winter we thought would be the last winter we get through. We would have to survive with this. But the reality is it'll certainly be with us this winter, and probably next winter, and possibly even into the future. So we're going to have to come up with more solutions other than just stay at home. It's
hard to believe, Lorraine Thompson, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, right, this is a problem, obviously, because we want to. The vaccines are helping to stop people getting very sick, and it's reducing the number of deaths. That's what the statistics tell us. Okay, what this all comes down to, why we are somewhat concerned, is because we're always concerned for our fellow man. Don't get me wrong. Is because we have just short of 300 ICU beds in a population of 5+ million. It could be even more than 5 million. 2 years on from this, less than 300 ICU beds. That's why we're even having this conversation, if the truth be told.
Yes, and that is a huge concern in terms of the increased pressure that it's going to put on our health system. We know every year coming into the autumn winter that there's pressure put on our health services. And I'm going to say, if we remember back pre-COVID, we were probably having conversations around the pressure on our healthcare systems coming into the winter, and why people were sitting in corridors on trolleys year after year after year. I do think that, for me personally, the choice of taking the vaccine or not taking the vaccine, you felt you were in between a rock and a hard place. It was either the virus or the vaccine. And I know there's arguments on both sides. I do feel that there is a ramped up pressure now from the government, putting a spotlight on the 20% of people who haven't had the vaccine, to say you're kind of stopping this progression, and they're obviously taking up more ICU beds, the people that are unvaccinated. So there is that ramped up pressure.
And do you mind if I just clarify that, Lorraine, not to correct you, because Waterford is an anomaly, because 2/3 of those in ICU are unvaccinated. So if you look at it nationally, what you say is correct. Waterford, I gave different stats. That, as I say, it's hard to explain. Sorry, continue with your point.
You put me off my point now, Greg.
Well, that's all right. That's what I do. I'm here to disrupt and spoil My apologies.
Yeah, so I do think, I mean, with like COVID and the vaccine, you know, it's a rock and a hard place. And I do think that as a country, we're doing the best we can. And we're taking on the different pieces of advice. I think it's an unfolding situation. You know, they're constantly looking at research as to how things can be made better. And I take on board Pat's point as well about ventilation. Ventilation is something that has been, I think, put out there from day one, the importance of ventilation, you know, both in healthcare settings, in nightclub settings, in office settings, in every setting. So these are the defences that we have against the virus. So things like ventilation, social distancing, mask wearing, obviously are going to become the new norm for us. Much to my annoyance, because I maybe naively at the start of this thought that we will get to a place when things go back to normal. And now I'm starting to see that that's just not going to be the case. So, you know, all of the news reports in relation to the October 22nd reopenings, you know, talked about our own personal responsibility as individual citizens within all of these easing of restrictions. And people have choices. People have choices to make to stay out of situations that they feel unsafe in.
Pat, you know, you know, I know you're looking at a very cautious approach, but I'll put the same point to you. You know, I think the Irish public have been amazing throughout this and have made great sacrifices, and really, in the absolute majority, have gone along with it. And even those, right, who have chosen not to get a vaccine for their own reasons, the majority of them have still probably continued to wear a mask going into public spaces or restrict the movements and all. Just because just because you've decided not to have a vaccine doesn't mean all of a sudden, you know, you're going to be standing outside Leo Varadkar's house or something. This is over to the government, isn't it? And I'll put the exact same point to you. We're having this... if we had 1,000 ICU beds, this would be the same as every other year when we're talking about cancelling of elective surgery because of an increase in flu, which we've seen. Ambulances queued outside Letterkenny University Hospital because they can't get in there because the capacity isn't in there. You know what I mean? This is on the government, this, isn't it? This is on the HSE, not us.
I mean, yes, absolutely, I agree, except I'd extend the point. There are other problems. For example, hospitality. Only a full 1/3 are not enforcing the COVID pass, according to ESRI. And this is even before we take into account like what's going to happen when you're talking really big figures like 1,500 or 2,000. Even going into restaurants and pubs where the numbers have been small, basically people aren't doing it. So that's down to the hospitality industry.
Well, as well, but again, Pat, we're walking in, right? We're not being asked for our COVID passport at the front door, and we're carrying on in.
Yeah, but there is systemic issues. The second point I want to make is that what has happened very quietly, the HSE has changed the rules. For example, and if somebody is infected in a household, COVID positive, diagnosed as, and basically their partner has been living with them, the rules have changed, and that partner, if they're vaxxed, they are not now required to even take an antigen test, which of course doesn't exist, or to basically isolate for even 5 days. So effectively, we do know that even people who are vaxxed carry a viral load as much as people who are unvaxxed. So that person who's living with a partner who's basically COVID positive, I know somebody, they were rung by the track and trace people and told, no problem, you can continue to socially interact, go to work, etc.
Just a wee clarification on that. That's providing you're asymptomatic,
Yes,
and also
exactly.
From next week, those people will be sent out packs of antigen tests.
Well,
so there is going to be a slight change.
Exactly, but they'll be sent out. So effectively, they'll be sitting, waiting for the HSE to put the pack in the envelope and the post to deliver it. How long will that take? But anyway, this basically, the problem is that the HSE has quietly changed these rules, and effectively people who with the best will in the world have been vaccinated have been told to continue leaking infection effectively in work, in school, in all social contexts.
Okay, well,
let's wonder why infection is rising.
Just put a timeline on that. On Monday, say for instance, I start feeling a bit bunged up. I book a test on Tuesday. I get my test appointment on Wednesday. Contact tracing and result maybe Thursday evening, possibly Friday. At that stage on Friday, the antigen tests are popped into the post. I presume post doesn't come on a Saturday or Sunday, but perhaps they do. So it lands. So the partner lands with the antigen tests on a Monday. They take those tests on Monday. That's an entire week between the onset of mild symptoms, which you'd probably explain away, to the antigen tests landing through the front door. That's ridiculous.
And that is a very optimistic scenario, right? Since when did a post arrive from the HSE, right, the day after, right? I'm sorry.
Well, the bills do. Whatever.
We do have the option to go and buy our own antigen tests.
Well, we could do that now, though. They're £6
Well, that's
each.
what we are doing now, because anybody in that scenario, Pat, that you have outlined there, that I know has gone ahead and either gone and had the HSE COVID test or purchased their own antigen test, because people are taking responsibility for this, because they don't want to be in that situation.
But I do think this reflects the difference between your closeness to the north and us down here. I don't even know if antigen tests are available for sale.
Well, we can buy them in Applegreen, so we don't buy them in Northern Ireland. I mean, my local Applegreen.
The whole culture.
I get what Pat's saying on that, Lorraine. You know, we are very different up here because we are going to be influenced.
In many ways.
Yeah. Mostly positive, I think.
I mean, in a way, antigen testing has been so viciously opposed down here. People aren't even thinking about it because we've been told by Tony Holohan for 21 months, don't do it. Like it's been compared to snake oil, you know. So really,
but it's really interesting that you've made that comparison to your geography, because yes, what you're right is, I mean, we would have a lot of workers coming in here from Northern Ireland, and they can go in and pick up their antigen tests, I think, in local leisure centres, and they readily use them. The children are readily using them going to school. I think it's part of the education policy there. So, I mean, for me, as I say, you know, going into work, if there was any symptoms, you just, you know, pop out and purchase the test. So it has become part and parcel of normal life here outside of the HSE sending it.
Yeah.
And I know there has been lots of discussions now in relation to, you know, the way nightclubs in Germany, I think, are readily using these tests as well, and why we as a country haven't gone into that space. But I think that conversation is starting.
Yeah, but it's starting. Look when it's starting, though. Seamus McDade, if you look at countries across Europe who have embraced antigen tests and other measures, they are literally, you know, have very, very low rates of infection compared to us, even with less vaccination. I mean, at some point, we have to call out where there's failings. Constantly, we seem to be going through this, and the government and the HSE NEFIT get a pass. It's not, as Pat pointed out, it's not that, you know, we kind of said, let's wait and see with antigen tests. The HSE, like Tony Holohan and others, were before an Oireachtas committee where they made an incredibly strong argument against the usage of them. So, Seamus, the book, eventually, someone's going to have to be responsible here at some stage, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you're right. They for all this length of time in the pandemic, they told us that antigen tests are not a part of our public health response. I actually don't understand why they've changed their tune now, because if they weren't any use 2 weeks ago, why are they now suitable for healthcare workers to use this week? So, you know, in many ways, I would say if you're going to take that advice, you kind of got to stick to it. It seems to me to be fundamentally wrong that we haven't used any sort of antigen tests, because it always seems strange that we're an outlier in Europe and kind of an outlier in the world for not really using these at all. And I understood at the start that there was a concern that they would be used wrong and that people would take them then as a green pass to do whatever they want.
Can I just add something to that? Not only that, but a member of NEFIT told the health committee precisely how you could manipulate these antigen tests and what with. I nearly fell off my seat as I heard this.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Beg your pardon? Sorry, what was that, Lorraine?
Why would you want to manipulate the test? You're doing the test to see what the verdict is.
But of course, but the point being that if you wanted to go in and watch a Croke Park, right, a game in Croke Park, and it was antigen tests, that you'd get a bit of your soda water or whatever it was. I'm not saying it was soda water. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Pure, I think it was.
Well, she said, and you would drip it on it, and then you could say, "Look, I'm good to go. Let me into Croke Park." And I was thinking, why is this conversation happening between our politicians and NPHET? I thought sorry, Seamus, go on to continue your point though. I just thought that was a really important because we have to remember the history of this.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that example is pretty indicative. There's an assumption out there. There's an assumption from NPHET, it appears, that the Irish people can't wait to just run rampant whenever we get the first chance of opportunity. Why would exactly what you said? Why would anybody want to manipulate the antigen test? That's never been a thing. People have been very, very compliant. And, we shouldn't forget at the very start of the pandemic as well, the government told us that masks were irrelevant, weren't going to do anything. Now, that was definitely the wrong advice. But the concept now that they changed and said that masks are critical to everything, without acknowledging the fact that, we actually might have said in the first 6 months that they weren't relevant.
Can I just say, again, sorry to cut across, Seamus, but it's just to broaden out the conversation. At that point, it cost 50 quid for a packet of, I can't remember how many masks were, 10 or something like that there. It was absolutely crazy. And there was no PPE for the health service. And I think there was an element of the fact that we'd rush out and do what we did with toilet roll and buy up the masks, try and source PPE and be in competition with the health services. They tried to get protective measures for hospital staff, carers and so on and so forth. Would you accept that possibly could have been part of that messaging?
Yeah, accept that for maybe the first 3 weeks of this pandemic when there was a great rush and things and supply chains under pressure. But they also could have said, look, we're taking supply out of the market, which they did with some other products. I am aware of many products that were taken off shelves because the HSE needed them. But they could have said, look, we can't provide you with masks and masks can't be bought, but you can home make masks. There was all sorts of solutions. I think you're allowing the government to abdicate responsibility there. That they're just saying, you don't need to wear a mask because we can't provide it. So instead of saying, do something, try and look after yourselves, they just told us, no, they won't really stop infections, which was the wrong advice. Never
effectively undermines all their other advice then. They need to be very careful about that.
Okay. Right, that's the voice there of Lorraine Thompson, the last voice you heard, Donegal Youth Service Regional Director. We're also hearing the informed opinions of Pat O'Connor, Professor of Sociology and Social Policy at Limerick University, former, and Seamus McDade, Managing Director of McDade's Football Special. He can go and take the top off a bottle of Football Special. We'll be back with more from our guests after this break.
The 9 till noon show with National Fuels Letterkenny. For a keen price on your home heating oil, call National Fuels on 9137 400.
Ireland is proceeding carefully with our plan to manage COVID-19. However, with infection rates increasing, along with hospitalisations and ICU admissions, we will keep using our COVID passes and all redouble our efforts to protect the progress we have made and keep moving forward. Vaccination is the best way to protect ourselves against COVID-19, but we must also continue working together to protect ourselves and each other by acting fast, isolating and getting tested if we have symptoms, wearing our face coverings where appropriate, making sure that indoor spaces are well ventilated, making full use of the space available to us, and covering our coughs and sneezes and keeping our hands clean. And remember, if you are in a place where guidelines are not being followed and you don't feel safe, take your business elsewhere. We will continue to keep you updated with public health guidance and the information you need on gov.ie/recovery, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Farmers know all about running a busy operation. They have their own instincts to help, of course, as well as centuries of experience handed down from one generation to the next. And then there's new ideas and innovations that are helping farmers work smarter today and safeguarding their farms for tomorrow. AXA Smart Farm Insurance is here to help too. In fact, it's the only policy where you can benefit from discounts of up to 30% if you have a low claims record. For a quote, search axa.ie/farm. AXA. Know you can. Terms and conditions apply. Claims free in your farm for the past 3 years. Windscreen claims are excluded. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Dunfanaghy Golf Club is now offering winter membership for only €250. Enjoy our top-class links course from the 1st of November through to the end of March 2022. With competitive golf, great scenery and a course playable all year round. Keep your swing going this winter at Dunfanaghy Golf Club. Contact 074 91 36335 or visit dunfanaghygolfclub.com.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure Main Street, Letterkenny. Christmas Club now open. New ranges of clothing for boys and girls from Nike, Adidas and Under Armour. Adidas tracksuits from only €45. Nike quarter zips with matching bottoms from only €25. Join our Christmas Club today. Check in store for details. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
The famous Holland & Barrett 1 cent sale is back, with buy one get one for just 1 cent on vitamin D, Manuka honey, natural skincare and much more. And you can even mix and match. Shop in-store or at hollandandbarrett.ie. Ends 14th of the 11th, 21. Selected items, cheapest item 1 cent, subject to availability.
At Modern Motors Letterkenny, we only stock quality diesel, petrol and commercial vehicles. A Modern Motors vehicle comes fully serviced and inspected, allowing you peace of mind. With a variety of makes and models to suit all budgets, visit modernmotors.ie and view our current stock with finance available. Modern Motors, it's all in the name.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time is 9:35, and just as we're talking about the situation, it's good to see, it's welcome to see that case numbers continue seemingly to fall in Donegal, and also hospitalisations, though 4 people remain in ICU at Letterkenny University Hospital. Unfortunately, with COVID, the stays tend to be quite long. We wish them a full and speedy recovery, but the amount of cases actually on site is down around 11 or 12. And a caller points out, yes, Waterford had 18 out of 24 cases who were who were fully vaccinated, but none in ICU last Wednesday. So the vaccine wall is holding. Think of the vaccine as a safety belt. It won't stop you crashing, but it does help your survival chances. Another caller says, get vaccination and boosters and follow the guidelines. 100% agree with that woman. So either anyone can accept that compliment. I'd love to an effort explanation for what's happening in Waterford. But you know, they're investigating that. But as another listener pointed out, the vaccine seems to be holding people from getting very seriously ill. You try and explain the reasons to a 15-year-old who can sit for 8 hours at school with their friends but can't join them for 3 hours tonight. I think people are making their own decisions in that regard. I'm not sure how many 15-year-olds are going to school and then not interacting with their friends afterwards.
Craig,
yes,
I might
Lorraine.
suggest that might be in relation to the teen disco and the pubs is open tonight.
Yeah.
And you cannot get in unless you've been vaccinated.
I
So it
wasn't
might be
aware
in
of that.
relation to
Okay,
that.
right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thanks for that, Lorraine. I do appreciate that. Okay, that's another topic altogether. But that was going to be, before we move on to our next topic, you know, they're going to crack down big time now on the vaccine passports. And, you know, this was very divisive when it was first introduced because, of course, it can pitch partner against partner, friend against friend. Some can go inside, some can't go inside. And I think certainly in the Northwest, and Pat maybe can speak to what it's been like further down the country, I think, you know, 2/3 compliance would maybe be an optimistic reflection of what things were like here in the Northwest. What do you feel, and I'll start with you, Seamus, on this one. What do you feel now about the fact that they're going to very severely enforce this, that really if you want to be indoors socialising, you're going to have a vaccine cert, a negative PCR, or, COVID recovered? As I say, I was really, really uncomfortable with this, but I don't know, it seems to be the way it is now, Seamus.
Yeah, and I think it's probably become now the accepted wisdom. So now it's kind of it's in. I do think we can see from even with our high case numbers, but our not high hospital rates, that the vaccine is working. So, you know, I think that we really, really need to encourage people, as many people as possible, to get the vaccine. And I think that the vaccine dividend, which is you get to eat inside if you've been vaccinated, I think it has worked, because I think that's one of the reasons why we have such a high uptake. So I do accept the point that this is probably a bit of an erosion of our civil liberties. But I think we're in an extreme time, and I think the vaccine passport has a role to play. I would really I question how much of an effect it actually has. The vaccines work. The vaccine passport, if you're sitting inside of people, and we've already said that even if you're vaccinated, you can still transmit.
Well, the argument is, Seamus, that 2/3 of those who are sick and in ICU are unvaccinated, and if you have a lot of unvaccinated people potentially socializing indoors, that yes, people with the vaccine get it, yes, people with the vaccine pass it on, but they have this level of protection. You start having a venue with a lot of unvaccinated people in it, they are responsible for 2/3 of the pressure on the hospital.
Sure, yeah, no, and I agree. I mean, that's why I kind of accept the point. The vaccines are incredible, and everybody needs to go get vaccinated. And if this encourages people to say, if this encourages people, then great. I think in terms of enforcement, the hospitality industry were kind of front and center on this. They were asking to do things a long time before the government put guidelines in place. It is up now. It's indicative of the HSA or whoever it is to go and inspect these premises and see if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Private security may be brought in to enforce the rules. We're reading in the front of the paper. Private security.
Yeah, but that's no different than private security stop under 18-year-olds getting into nightclubs this evening. So that's not necessarily any different than other expenses that they already have to manage.
Okay.
Just extra bodies. Yeah, it's extra bodies, because I really don't know how they're going to do it. I've read some of the guidelines, and as I say, from my previous experience of being in nightclubs, depending on the volumes of people that are going to attend, there's going to be a job of work there trying to adhere to all the guidelines.
Well, Gardaí go in and they'll get a sense and they'll shut a place down, and they've done that. If it's random, and if the business owner doesn't know who the next person coming through the door is, if they could be an inspector, I presume that's sort of the way they're doing it. It's like with underage drinking, you can't have a guard in every pub or off license or nightclub, but the idea being that if there's a chance you could get caught, Lorraine, then you're going to comply.
Maybe, I'm not sure though, Greg. I have been to bars happily in the last couple of weeks, and my experience, to be honest, was no different than being in a restaurant, because you were brought to a table. It was table service all night, and the only time you got up off your table was to go to the bathroom, and you put on your mask. But I have seen videos of other bars with, shall I say, a younger population, and that is not the case. And it's party central, and no social distancing, no evidence of social distancing or anything like that. I will say that from being in and about the town at night, the Gardaí are there. Their presence is very strong. The adherence to the closing time, the Gardaí coming in and checking that is there. But I would say there's a mixed bag out there at the minute. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out now, obviously with the hours changing as well as the nightclubs reopening.
Okay, DJ on YouTube says, good morning, Greg. Would your panel be okay if it was an obesity cert that was implemented, which it should be, because they say a lot of people in ICU are overweight? Well, you can't transmit or catch obesity, so I understand where they're coming from, but this is a... but Pat, for me, Pat, as of early on last week, it was clear to me that what was coming next was the implementation of rules, and strictly enforced rules, and I said it on this programme, as a way of encouraging, some would say coercing, that 6 or 7% of the adult population, maybe 8% of the adult population who hadn't got a vaccine to do so. And you were sort of saying, this is a bit of deja vu. This is a strategy. This is a government NPHET HSE strategy to put pressure on, or to further encourage the unvaccinated to get vaccinated. Because if you look at it, that's all how it's set up.
Yes, I do need to say I'm thoroughly in favour of vaccinations. That's not the issue. And I do think that, yes, it was clear from the beginning of the week that this was the direction of travel. I suppose the OECD have said Ireland is useless at implementing things, right? So it's not just me. That basically we're brilliant at passing policies, but actually when the rubber hits the road, No, it doesn't happen. And even with the best will in the world, like if you're talking 1,500 young people, right? The idea of getting them to stay 2 meters apart, right? Usually, a piece of paper wouldn't fit between them, as I see it. 2 meters apart, and wait while you check 1,500 vaccine certs, identification and phone numbers. I mean, it's just not real. And I suppose what I was quietly horrified by the fact that basically there was no planning for this. Like, there's a man talking, saying that he played the fiddle, right? And at the beginning of the week, as he saw it, like at his session, people could get up and dance until he took out his fiddle, and then they had to sit down in groups of 6. Like, it was, if you made a skit of it, people would say it.
But the rules don't necessarily have to be 100% universally enforced. It is, people get a sense of what's going on, and that influences them. And it may not always be reflective of reality. It's like saying we've got speed limits, but a lot of people will tip along at 108.
But you do need to have coherence and a degree of credibility and practicality. Otherwise, people think this is nonsense and they make no attempt to comply.
All right.
And you need the feeling that there could be a van parked somewhere that might catch you out in terms of speeding. Whereas if the rules are incoherent, contradictory and lunatic, really, in the case of the fiddler, which they have partially sorted out but haven't really teased through how this social distancing is to work on even queues for bars. I mean, to me, it has been shown.
Just in relation to that, Pat, like I have seen, and I've been in a place, right, where the people were getting drinks at the bar, right? And I'm not saying where it is, and it's not actually where people might expect me to be, so I don't want to give any business a bad name, right? But what I saw was people spread out. I didn't see everyone shoulder to shoulder. I saw people a metre and a half back from the person in front of them, and then the person to their left. Like, I think, yeah, but
1,500 people there, Greg.
But what I'm trying to say is, I think we have to not trust the people, Pat, at some point. Trust ourselves.
You have to have practicality, right? I mean, in a way, you have to recognise that to spend 2 minutes checking COVID passes, right, and phone numbers and whatever, plus by 1,500 is going to take, the gig is going to be over, I mean, okay, you can't legislate down to the absolute.
Okay. I get you. But listen, nightclubs are routinely checking everyone's ID, because the majority of people going into nightclubs are 17, 18, 19, and they do check them, and they check for whether they're fraudulent or not. So,
if you run a licensed premises in this country, Greg, you're in about the most regulated industry there is.
Yeah.
You have to tell people there's an age limit that you can't get in. There's a time limit that people can serve. They can't smoke inside, which when we brought in the smoking ban, everybody said that'll never be enforced, and now it's universally enforced. So this notion that the licensed industry cannot wait to just mess up, just rip up your COVID cert your way in. They are carrying these checks out. Like you said, people are also, now all the pubs I've been in, it's been the same. People are pretty socially distant anyway. I don't think we need to make a huge issue of this. The licensed trade industry has long since shown that they're well capable of enforcing rules because they regularly enforce all the rules that shops and other sort of retail industry don't have to enforce.
Have they ever enforced the rules of you out the front door?
The ESRI showed that basically 2/3 are enforcing, even without this loosening of restrictions.
And that's not nightclubs, obviously, because they haven't been opened.
Exactly. This is what he's talking, Seamus, you're talking pubs and hospitality and restaurants. And the ESRI showed 2/3, yes, are enforcing.
All right. Okay.
I would say, ironically, at this stage, the safest place to be in a nightclub is out in the smoking area because it's the most ventilated.
There is a
not
genuine.
Not advocating anybody to take up smoking.
And that is 100% clear, Lorraine. But it's a very strong point. Thanks for that. A quick break. Back with more.
Get ready for winter with National Fuels, delivering home heating oil in Letterkenny and surrounding areas at competitive prices. National Fuels, 9137 400. Proud sponsors of today's show.
We love Irish music and we want to show our support. All through Irish Music Month this October, we're asking you to support the Irish musicians who make every party, every drive home and everyday magic. As part of Irish Music Month, we're asking you to support Irish artists and musicians by buying Irish albums, Irish tickets, Irish t-shirts, Irish music merch wherever you can. Let's support Irish musicians and buy Irish. Irish Music Month is supported by the BAI Sound and Vision Fund and the Independent Broadcasters of Ireland.
We're the connectors. At ESB Networks, we've been connecting you to Ireland's power network for years. We've also been making new connections, building a network that's stronger than ever so we can all be kinder to the planet. Connecting our network to natural resources and Ireland to a more sustainable future. ESB Networks, connecting you to a clean electric future.
McGinley Furniture's new showroom in Letterkenny now has more of everything. More suites, beds, dining room and occasional furniture. Also more rugs, mirrors and lamps, all available for immediate delivery. And with extra space, there's also more new stock on display. For a beautiful addition to your home, there's more than ever to choose from at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny, and at mcginleysfurniture.com.
Residential property owners, the deadline for submitting your local property tax return to Revenue is the 7th of November. Before submitting your return, you need to determine the market value of your property. The easiest way to submit your return is online at revenue.ie. If you need help, you can call Revenue on 01 738 3626. Don't miss the deadline. Submit your local property tax return by the 7th of November.
Are you aged 17 to 25? Would you be interested in a construction apprenticeship in dry lining? Erigo Contracts, a market leader in the interior fit-out sector for Ireland, the UK and mainland Europe, are offering 2-year apprenticeships and guaranteed full-time employment on completion of the course, with the opportunity to earn £30,000 during your apprenticeship. So, if you're interested in training for your future, email careers@erigocontracts.com. That's careers@erigocontracts.com.
And you are very welcome back to the programme. An emailer says, "Good morning, Greg. Another great show. Although I live in Scotland, I and my children were brought up through all the holidays in Meath-na-Clady, where my folks live. Our staple diet was football special. We always order it online and get it delivered to our home in Falkirk. However, it is now impossible in capitals to get, causing my son great distress. Can you please ask the CEO of McDade's how we can buy it here in Scotland?"
Yeah, but you got to look at, we have a cash and carry there called Glencrest Cash and Carry. That's the easiest way to get it. Unfortunately, I was on with you before, Greg, talking about the difficulties now shipping to Great Britain, so it's got a lot more expensive for us to send online.
Can you not smuggle it in?
Well, I wouldn't like to endorse them sort of things.
Okay, right, but it's you can't at this point. You can't, as you rightly pointed out the last time, because import duties and charges and all of that. But are you saying it can be bought in Scotland?
Yeah, it can be bought in Scotland. So if we have a wholesaler there called Glencrest, and they do home delivery. So Glencrest Cash and Carry if you're in Scotland.
All right, and they've multiple outlets. Yeah. All right, nice one. Okay, good stuff. Of course, we witnessed the media coverage of the murder of British MP David Ames. And there is some concern that, this is not the first time someone in public office has been targeted in this way, and there is this. I mean, the question is this something that we could see in Ireland? I was watching some videos yesterday of people saying that TDs need to be dragged out of the Dáil and hung in the streets. Now, I'm not sure if that's just rhetoric or whatever. But I'll stay with you, Seamus, as soon as you're on camera there. I mean, journalists to a lesser extent, but politicians, are they now being seen as legitimate targets by some in Britain, and are we going to see that in Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would probably be remiss to talk about something like this and not mention that we had a county councillor in Eddie Fullerton who was murdered in Donegal by a terrorist organisation. So it has already happened in Ireland. So it certainly has been a part of our history. So it could certainly happen here again. In terms of the sort of rhetoric that you are, mentioning, it's certainly social media and the world of online has sort of amped up, and there's an acceptance, I think, for people to say things that they may not mean, but they are causing extremists to go out and carry acts of violence. So it is something we'd have to watch. But as I say, I wouldn't be overly concerned about it, because, as I say, it has happened before in our country, unfortunately. So it is a certain, and so it certainly could happen again.
And what do you think, Lorraine? Because, yesterday as well, I'm not suggesting that any of these people would carry out such acts, but, people are getting angry, albeit it seems a very small amount of people calling to people's homes and what have you, demonstrating they're perfectly entitled to do that on a public road. But some are suggesting that some of the language by some, and I'm not casting a wide net here, is becoming a little bit more dangerous. What do you think?
I think, what happened to David Ames was horrifying, and it was violent, and it was very shocking. From by all accounts, was a very lovely, gentle man. And I would like to think that something like that couldn't happen here. I understand we're in the era of, keyboard warriors, people sitting at home airing their frustrations online. But I do think as a nation, we're not violent like that. So I wouldn't be overly concerned that it would happen to politicians. I think we have a society where people need to air their grievances to their politicians. They can do it. I think this was an exceptional case. There definitely was terrorist allegations in relation to the man that has been arrested. And I do know, going back in the UK, there was a similar incident with a politician, a female politician, was it Joe Cox?
Yes.
Yeah, so it has happened before in the UK, going back.
Yeah, and it is an important,
years ago.
It is an important distinction, Lorraine, that you make, and I hope I made it as well, that attack on David Hames seems to be motivated by terror and not any opposition necessarily. But there are those in this country, mostly politicians, that are concerned that something could happen with a different motivation. I'm not suggesting that, but
accessible.
Yeah.
Our politicians are very accessible, and people, they live in our communities. People know where they live, but I don't think I see anything like this happening in Ireland.
No, me either. Pat, last word to you, please.
Well, of course, what happened to David Ames was dreadful, but I have a little worry. Joe Cox was murdered, a woman, a Labour candidate, and yet after David Ames was murdered, the Southend-on-Sea became a city. There seemed to be less, whether it's because he's a Conservative in the government or whether it's because he's a man, but the response seemed much more serious.
I don't know. I remember the coverage of I know that he'd been campaigning for a long time for city status, but there was a great deal of shock and reaction
to... Certainly there was no official whatever. And I suppose I'd also make the point that Brannagh Gearan's death, which did provoke CAB and all sorts of things, happened here. So like Lorraine, I wouldn't be overtly worried about it, in the sense that I think the crudification of discourse, political discourse, hasn't happened to the same degree here as has happened in the UK. But it certainly is, it is both all these deaths, Brannagh Gearan, Joe Cox, David Ames, they are salutary reminders of how right-wing or terrorist elements can thrive in a society and need to be really watched. Like the person who's been taken in for questioning, as I understand it, there were previous indications that there might be a problem.
That might have been radicalised. Pat, listen, as always, thank you so much for your points of view and your time. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you very much.
And also, Seamus McDade, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Greg. Pleasure as always.
Have a great day. And last but certainly not least, Lorraine Thompson, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Craig. Have a good weekend.
And you too. Okay, thank you. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with National Fuels, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. For all your solid fuel needs at the keenest prices. 9137 400 or nationalfuels.ie.
Erex infrared silent odourless heaters are the perfect solution for heating garages, workshops, recreation facilities, leisure and fitness hubs, caravans and large greenhouses. This super efficient heater only needs 2.5 litres of green diesel or kerosene per day, costing you as little as €1.50 per day to heat your whole building. Heat up your premises this winter without paying a fortune by investing in an Erex commercial heater today. For more information, call 085 2260 259.
Special Halloween offers at Doherty Centre Moville. Inspired by Centra Irish Angus sirloin steaks with peppercorn butter, €6. Centra Fresh Irish Whole Chicken 1.6 kg, €4.50. 12-pack cans of Guinness, Heineken, Carlsberg, Budweiser and Bulmers, €15. Cadbury snack size bags, €2. 4-pack bars, €1.50. Everything you need for Halloween at Doherty Centre Moville. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Whether revolutionary engines, hybrid technologies, or all electric, discover what drives you with the 221 Mazda electrified range. Stand out from the crowd with award-winning Coda design that makes your Mazda a work of art. And go the extra mile with next-level Skyactiv fuel efficiency. To order your 221 Mazda, visit your local Mazda dealer or Mazda.ie to find the best 221 offer to suit your lifestyle. Mazda. Drive together. Terms and conditions apply.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
We all love Irish music and the artists that make it. To celebrate and support Irish artists, we're taking part in Irish Music Month this October. We're playing more Irish music than ever before and funding Irish artists nearly €100,000 this month to play and perform for us on independent radio stations across the country. This is Irish Music Month. Irish Music Month is supported by the BAI Sound and Vision Fund and by XL Retail, offering a great deal more at your local store.
Highland Radio weather updates, brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating. Trust Grant to heat your home. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.eu.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock, weather to follow, but news first on Highland Radio with Donal Kavanagh. And the Donegal and Lendy's electoral areas continue to experience rises in their COVID rates. Latest figures, which cover the 2 weeks up to last Monday, October 18th, show either small increases or reductions in the other 5 electoral areas across the county. With more detail, here's Adrian Harmon.
North Inishowen recorded a slight increase with 106 new confirmed cases and a rate of 625. South Inishowen recorded 69 new cases and a rate of 309. Milford recorded a fall in the latest data with 70 new cases and a rate of 508. Letterkenny has seen a decrease too with 193 new cases and a rate of 648. The rate in the Lifford-Stranorder area has also dropped with 159 new cases and a rate of 614. Glenties recorded an increase with 141 new cases and a rate of 590, while Donegal now has the highest rate of COVID in the county at 838 and 222 new cases.
There's been a mixed reaction to the changes in the COVID restrictions which come into force from today. Nightclubs can reopen tonight at 100% capacity. Pubs and restaurants no longer have to close at 11:30. However, customers still won't be able to drink at the bar. They can order a drink at the counter but will have to return to their table with it. Up to 1,500 people can stand at indoor gigs and people can get a drink at the bar while staying 2 metres apart. The issue was debated on this morning's 9 till noon show. Donegal Youth Service Director Lorraine Thompson says while moving forward is positive, it's up to everyone to act responsibly.
We can all be very cynical about how these social distancing and lanes and, people kind of staying together on the dance floor and apart whenever they walk off the dance floor. We can be very cynical about that, but I think we have to give it a chance. And I also think people have to realise it's not going to be the way it was. So once we get that into our heads and we realise that the protective measures that can be put in place, and we hear all the time about, if you go into a situation and you feel unsafe, you have the right to leave.
However, retired University of Limerick Professor Pat O'Connor has reservations.
I think I have a distinct feeling of deja vu. This is terrifying, really, According to Professor McInerney on the prime time last night, our infections are 2/3 of what is in the UK per 100,000. So effectively, this is without opening nightclubs, etc. So really, we are, and it has been said, on a knife edge.
Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConalogue has today confirmed over €250,000 in funding to support 13 outdoor projects across County Donegal. The scheme is designed to support the enhancement of dozens of recreational amenities such as mountain trails, forest walks, beaches, rivers, lakes, blueways and greenways. The Vice President of the Garda Representative Association says a drop in Garda numbers in Donegal comes as no surprise. Latest figures show there are 13 less Gardaí stationed in the county this year compared with 2020. However, when compared with the situation in 2008, there are almost 40 fewer currently serving in the Donegal division. Vice President of the GRA Brendan O'Connor says any new recruits coming down the tracks will only balance the situation out.
We will continue to see people retire and move laterally. There's a shortage of sergeants here in the division as well, so we will see members of Garda rank promoted. So, the numbers being banded about as extra will only keep things at a standing still and maybe replenish what will be lost. So I wouldn't be particularly hopeful that we'll see any big uplift in numbers, but it's very important that we keep pushing hard and ensuring that Donegal is not forgotten when the results have been given out.
A Donegal deputy is calling on the government to invest more in County Donegal's breast check services. Independent TD Thomas Pringle says he wants to see the temporary breast check centre in Donegal town be made permanent. He says the government should say true to a promise of a new centre being established in Buncrana. Deputy Pringle says there is a backlog of almost 9,000 women awaiting breast check appointments in Donegal as a result of the COVID pandemic, and he says that has to be cleared as quickly as possible.
We have a huge backlog at the moment because of the lockdown, and that when there was no services taking place, I think there's a backlog around about 8,900 cases in Donegal to be checked at the minute. I think we need to make the breast check centre in Donegal town permanent, and also then I think Minister McConalogue needs to live up to his election promise and have a breast check unit in Donegal and Buncrana as well. That's particularly important to ensure that people can actually access services when they need it, when they need to, and we can clear the backlog too.
Weather forecast: bright or sunny spells today, but a good deal of cloud overall with some scattered showers spreading from the west in a moderate westerly breeze. Highest temperatures today hitting 11 to 13 degrees Celsius. Showers largely dying out early tonight, leaving most areas dry for a time. However, later on there will be temperatures of 6 to 10 degrees Celsius with southerly breezes increasing fresh. On tomorrow, Saturday morning, rain will move in gradually from the west. It'll continue wet for much of the day with further outbreaks of rain in the afternoon and evening. Mild and windy with highest temperatures of 12 to 15 degrees Celsius in strong and gusty southerly winds. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning.
The obituary notices for Friday morning, the 22nd of October. The death has taken place of Anne E. Doherty, Newman, Ballylosky, Carndonagh. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral leaving there on Sunday morning at 10:30, going to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, for Mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Phyllis McMullen, Fintona Oma, County Tyrone, and formerly of Garshuey, Newton Cunningham. Her remains are reposing at Gibson's Funeral Home, Convoy, today from 4 until 8 o'clock this evening. Funeral service at Gibson's Funeral Home tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Burial afterwards in the family plot at St Johnston Presbyterian Church churchyard. The death has occurred of Patsy Slevin, Knock, Ballybuffet. Funeral leaving his home on Sunday morning at 11:20 for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St Mary's Church, Shesha O'Neill. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The funeral mass will be streamed live via the parish Facebook page. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to the renal unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The wake, funeral and burial will be private to family, neighbours and close friends only, please. The death has taken place of Rosaleen Malloy, Loch Road, Milford. Her remains are reposing at her home. House private this morning, neighbours and friends welcome from 12 noon today. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Peter's Church, Milford, burial afterwards in Milford Cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed on the church webcam. Family flowers only, donations if desired to RSC Donal Patients Comfort Fund, care of Patrick Sweeney, funeral directors. The death has occurred of John McFadden, Calhame, Annagray. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in the Star of the Sea Church, Annagray, with interment afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The death has occurred of Johnny Boner, Mean Drain, Dunlow. His remains are reposing at his late residence. House private to family and friends only, please. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 10 o'clock in St Patrick's Church, Meena Cross, with interment afterwards in Dunlow Cemetery. Family flowers only, donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Sean McGlynn, funeral director. The death has taken place of Charles Oliver, Charlie McDade, of Ashgrove Park, Altnagalvin. The Requiem Mass will be celebrated in St Mary's Church, Ardmore, this morning at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The house is strictly private, please. Family flowers only, donations if wished to the Foyle Hospice. And the death has taken place of Charlie Neeson, 67, Parkside Gardens, Sion Mills. Funeral leaving his home this afternoon at 1:20 for Requiem Mass in St Teresa's Church, Sion Mills at 2 o'clock. Cremation afterwards in Lakelands Crematorium. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
All right, thanks again to our Friday panel for joining us. Stay tuned, by the way, coming up after 11 o'clock, we are going to wind down for the long weekend and have Fionnuala and Michael on the programme. We're going to be talking all things entertainment. If you're out, have you seen anything good? Are you going to see anything good, be it in theatre, in the cinema? Or are you looking forward to, and a lot of people I'm speaking to are looking forward to having a weekend of, if they can and they're happy enough and lucky enough to be able to do so, sitting with their feet up, with the fire on, watching TV. What's your plans for the weekend? 086 60 25,000. Hi, can you tell me the name of the cash and carry that was mentioned for the football special? I can't remember off the top of my head. I probably should, but I just can't. I'll get it for you, though, because I don't want to mislead you. I think it might have been Glencrest. In our local, there is no social distancing. In pubs, they're jammed tight, all sitting at the counter. No checks for vaccination people whatsoever. Another, without proper ventilation in any venue, we are in for a virus overload. COVID certs are just part of the solution, and too much emphasis is being put on them while ignoring the other equally important guidelines. Enforcement of COVID cert, etc. compliance is the responsibility of the HSE, not Garda. Indeed, but there's a crossover there. Turning vaccinated people against the unvaccinated is exactly the same way. Well, I'm not going to make a comparison to what happened in Germany, if that's okay. I think the annihilation of millions upon millions upon millions of people and what went on there is not the same as what we're seeing here. But I'm sure you make that comment elsewhere. It's very sad, really, to see what's happening right now. Back when they were trying to get everyone to take the vaccine, they delayed the opening of pubs and hotels so that they actually enforced the government decision. They're now doing the same with the young people going to discos. It's so blatantly obvious and dreadfully sad. These vaccines sadly show they're not effective from real-world data, yet they are now pushing on the last few young people that are undecided to hesitate. The real-world data, it's up to you whether you believe it or not, because people go to other sources and find experts that have an opinion that matches those. Everyone can make up their own mind, and everyone should do so. But the real-world data from right across the world. The majority, you know, and I've mentioned the countries before, from Russia to China to Korea to Canada to America to here to Australia to Africa, all around. Generally, the consensus is amongst their working professionals and those working in the medical fields and actually working, not former or retired or just likes to analyse data, is that the vaccines do prevent people getting very, very sick and from dying. And that's not me saying it. I'm just saying that is the general consensus across the entire world. Yes, there will be places where there's groups of people might have a differing point of view, and God help us if they end up to be proven right. But the general consensus is that they are safe. That's what they say, and that they do stop hospitalizations, and certainly they do stop serious illness to a great extent, and death. But as I say, other people have different opinions, and that's fine. They can have them. Civil liberties are fast disappearing, and no one seems to be taking this into account. Another caller says, I cannot understand why pubs don't have to close at 11:30. This will surely increase the number of accidents on roads, drunk people driving home from pubs when others are going to work. I can't even recall what time pubs are supposed to close at. I think lots of people with younger adults, because, you know, just because they turn 18, it doesn't stop you worrying, were glad when they heard the key going at 11:45 or 12. And that's now going to be kicked back into the early hours of the morning. And also, too, we were talking about earlier on about, you know, there's vaccine passports being required for young people to go into discos. You know, I mean, I'd say a lot of school trips this year, foreign school trips, vaccination will also be seen as a critical element of that. Has that conversation had yet? Because I would imagine it's particularly transition years, isn't it? If they're heading away to the usual places, isn't it Spain, Portugal, Italy or whatever next year, I imagine it's going to be, you can go, but you have to have your vaccine, and you're going to have 14, 15, 16-year-olds coming up to mum or dad or their guardian and saying, can you book me in for my vaccine? That's probably what's going to happen. Many people have copy vaccine cards. A venue's asking for ID along with it to stop fraud of the system. Again, you know, people will always, I don't think it's a majority, people will always try and get around these things. There's fake IDs who've been around for years. How does this help children's mental health, forcing the vaccine on them to allow them go to a teenage disco, but they can go to school and sports without a vaccine? Is this mad or what? A lot of teenagers are going, as I say, to their family and saying, what am I getting the vaccine? It's not always a case of mom or dad or both dragging them to a vaccine centre by the ears either. A lot of these young people are making their own decisions, or at least feel they are, and are well informed. What's the sense in allowing 1,500 people into a nightclub where people will be drunk and on top of one another? Things are going to be as bad as ever by Christmas. It makes no sense, but if not now, when? With such a high rate of vaccination, what's our future otherwise? I thought it was 100% that taking the jab was to protect us from getting seriously ill and to protect the hospitals. Well, I'll just say one thing. No treatment, no vaccine offers 100%. And if anyone told you that, they were misleading you, and they shouldn't have told you that. No more so than they might be saying something very extreme in the other direction. I don't think there is yet to be a vaccine that has been 100%. There's not a contraception that's 100%. There's not a 100% guarantee you will not have an adverse reaction to paracetamol or ibuprofen or any medicine whatsoever. There is a risk with absolutely everything that we do. So it was never going to be 100%. But they went on to say they believe it would stop them 100% from getting seriously ill and to protect the hospitals. Am I right? But the way I see it now, you'll get nowhere if you haven't the jab, with 92% uptake, money-racking thing as even jabbed, you can still get it and pass it on and die, but for some reason not being highlighted. It is talked about all the time. And we have those statistics. The statistics, though, as it relates to the hospital pressure, at the moment, 2/3 of those are not vaccinated. And that's what the HSE NEFIT are saying is causing, to some extent, the pressure on the hospitals. But that being said, even without COVID, we talked about pressures on the hospitals before. There should be more beds. In relation to the antigen test, the NHS is providing the test kits free. You could collect them in Boots in Northern Ireland. Yeah, you could. But then again, look at the terrible epidemiological situation in Britain, even though they're employing these tests. I was in England a couple of weeks ago, and the NHS was giving out the antigen tests in the shopping centre. I took a few boxes home, and a few of my family and friends have used them already. Another caller says the most dangerous people now to spread the COVID are the fully vaccinated, because they're under the false belief that they can do what they like while unwittingly spreading an infected COVID to everyone all around them. At least the unvaccinated know to lie low and shun big crowds and the likes. I think there's merit to that for sure. It seems private wealth trumps public wealth every time in Ireland. Alcohol and its abuse has always been the ultimate driving force in this country. Shameful. And two more before we are delayed on the bingo numbers. My apology. What about the children who can't be vaccinated for various reasons? They are barred from attending the teen discos through no fault of their own. Does the Friday panel think this is fair? How many children can't take the vaccine? I wonder. Is it like 20 or 30%, or is it 5% or what? I don't know what the percentages are there. Another caller says, you try and explain the reasons to a 15-year-old who can sit for 8 hours at school with their friends but can't join them for 3 hours at night. And as Lorraine rightly pointed out, that's a reference to teenage discos. And let's not forget and understand that what some parents are going through today as well, because their young one was scheduled to go to a disco, and there's a few of them on it. We're not talking about specific areas. Probably for the first time, all very, very excited. And now a mum or dad is going to have to say to them, look, you can't go because you haven't been vaccinated, right? Now, rather than go, I think that's a very difficult situation for those parents. And they may have made that decision for many different reasons. And it's going to be an upset young person and an upset household, I think. And that's not right. There's something wrong there. I don't know how we fix that. Or what to do, but it is not fair. And what that caller is saying is perfectly right. The young person says, but sure, we were in the classroom, I was chatting to the same people all day, I'll be really careful. And they have to say to them, you're not allowed. So, that's a really, really difficult situation. And we need to really think on each other, even if we have different points of view. And as I say, it might just be the case that they're not against it, they just haven't got around to it yet, and it's causing great angst. And as I say, I wish there were an easy solution, or we could click our fingers and make it right. Okay, it is time for the bingo numbers and a break. Stay where you are. Still lots to come on the programme.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 22nd of October. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S10. It's game number 42. The numbers are 64, 36, 15, 25, 18, 16, 77, 43, 24, and finally 67. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with National Fuels, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. For all your solid fuel needs at the keenest prices. 9137400 or nationalfuels.ie.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
The Irish Farmers Journal, in association with Harris Group Nace Road, Dublin, are giving you the chance to win an Isuzu D-Max crew cab worth €45,000. €45,000. There are just 2 weeks left to pick up your entry form inside the Irish Farmers Journal. This €45,000 Isuzu D-Max could be all yours. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, Grace. Where are you heading?
Down to Made to Measure Fireplaces in Creasla.
Made to Measure Fireplaces? Didn't you just buy a fireplace there?
Yeah, but I'm going now to pick my kitchen worktop.
Create the kitchen and living room of your dreams at Made to Measure Fireplaces and Granite Worktops. They've been in business for over 40 years. So for help choosing granite or quartz for your worktop, fireplace or stove, visit the Made to Measure showroom at Cashel, Creasla, or see mtmfireplaces.com or on Facebook.
Due to continued expansion, McHugh's Tyres, Railway Street, Strabane are seeking to recruit experienced tyre fitters and vehicle technicians. Excellent package rates are available. For further details, contact McHugh's Tyres on 048 7138 2238. Stick to the road with McHugh's Tyres.
Looking for an easier way to get your prescriptions filled? Look no further. With our new Brennan's Pharmacy app, you have a simpler, faster way to manage your prescription orders. Just download the free Brennan's Pharmacy app from Google Play or App Store, fill in a few simple details about yourself and your medicines, and you're all set. From prescription ordering, daily medicine reminders, to messaging our pharmacy team directly, it's all at your fingertips with our new Brennan's app. Like to know more? Why not call your local Brennan's Pharmacy today for more information? We're here for you.
McElhinney's massive mid-season sale is now on with up to 30% off selected designer brands. So why not get your Christmas shopping wrapped up early or update your winter wardrobe for less with amazing offers not to be missed. Get to McElhinney's Ballybuffet or shop online at mcelhinneys.com for fast delivery or click and collect.
At Super Value, we've amazing low prices with great offers like save 33% in our steak sale with Super Value Fresh Irish Strip Loin Steak. Super Value Signature Taste award-winning breakfast deal, only €5. Super Value Signature Taste Party Food, any two for €7. And Heineken 24-pack cans, only €24. Super Value, real food, real people. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Craig.
What's your view, Michael?
Craig, I was just listening to your programme this morning about the vaccination certificates.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just had a point, really. You know, what about the people that cannot get vaccinated because of a medical reason or for whatever reason? And, you know, they can't go into a restaurant. Is there no restaurants where just only on-vax people can go into?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they just catering for the people that are vaccinated? Or are the restaurants just forgetting about the people that are on-vaxxed that cannot go in for a medical reason? Or, you know, that's what I was just thinking. You know,
yeah, I get you, but I mean, like, I think, you know, even now, after the rush back to the restaurants, you know, restaurants perhaps are starting to see bookings die off a wee bit at the weekend and quiet again during the week as we head into the winter. If sort of like 7% of the adult population are not vaccinated and maybe 2 or 3% of them are can't get vaccinated for medical reasons, could any restaurant really sustain a business with that small amount of people?
Well, you could, you see, because, you know, I think there's a simple solution to it, you know, because somebody that's vaccinated or unvaccinated or whatever the case may be,
mm-hmm.
even if a person is vaccinated that's going into a restaurant with a COVID cert, having the COVID cert doesn't say that they haven't got a viral load.
That's true.
Do you understand where I'm coming from? So, in actual fact, they don't really know whether they have COVID or not.
Mm.
They're just, you know, by producing a bit of paper doesn't necessarily say, well, I'm COVID-free.
Okay, but Michael, you see, like, this is what the motivation is supposed to be, and we can agree or disagree if that's what it is. And I'm sorry to keep labelling this because it sounds like I'm just parroting Tony Houlihan or Michael Martin, and that's not really my intent. But it's to talk to, you know, I've spoken to the head of the Celta Hospital Group, the hospital people working in the hospital, the local hospital management and stuff. There is these are the facts that they give us, that 6 or 7, 8, let's call it 8% of the adult population are not vaccinated, right? So that's 300,000 people. And from that 300,000 people, 2/3 of those in ICU, so around about 60 of the 80 that are in ICU, or 55 of the 80 in ICU, are completely unvaccinated. So you open up a restaurant where all the unvaccinated go into, to extrapolate from that, even more people would be in ICU putting pressure on the hospital services. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, I'm not saying everything they tell us is absolutely true, but this is about our poxy amount of beds that we have in hospitals.
Oh, well, we knew that from the beginning, Craig. You know, it was mismanagement by the HSE and by the government. You know, even the dogs in the street know that at this stage. But what I'm saying is, you know, if you've got people that are vaccinated, and, you know, they feel fairly safe because they're vaccinated. And, you know, they can be a little bit carefree. I'm not saying everyone does, but they can be a bit, you know, maybe a wee bit reckless. Or whatever.
In other words, I've had the vaccine, I can do whatever I like.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got people that are not vaxxed that are very, very careful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because somebody's unvaxxed, it doesn't say that they're, they're not being careful. I think that the people that are unvaxxed are even being more careful than the people that are being vaxxed, to be honest about it.
I mean, like, Michael, my opinion doesn't matter, but I am a regular person, I hope, I am very uncomfortable with the notion that I can sit in a restaurant and enjoy myself whilst someone who's made a decision for themselves, which they're entitled to make, has to sit outside with a takeaway. I really don't. It's horrible. I think that that's where we're at. I understand why we're at, but I understand very much too why people are resistant to that, because that means there's a person in the family that can't go. There's a person in the family that can't go to a wedding. You know, I mean, it's really not where we want to be.
That's correct, yeah. But, you know, again, going back to the people that are vaxxed, that are carrying a viral load, you know, it doesn't, you know, being vaccinated doesn't guarantee that, you know, we know that you won't get COVID or pass COVID on. So if you're going into a restaurant with a vaccination certificate, doesn't guarantee that you haven't got COVID.
Well, studies have found that people... Studies have found, just to hammer home your point, studies have found that people who are vaccinated carry the same viral load as unvaccinated people. So what you're saying is medically proven.
Yeah, that's right. So if somebody goes into a restaurant with the vaccine certificate, that doesn't necessarily say that they haven't got COVID. Now, if you get a non-vaccinated person that goes into a restaurant, you know, they could be in the same circumstances. Now, suppose the elephant in the room, and it has been for a long, long time, has been antigen testing. You know, it's, you know, whatever we think about it, it's got some level of capability of telling whether you have COVID or not. So if you done away with COVID certificates and to enter into a restaurant, you took an antigen test, and if you said, well, you know, if it's come negative or positive, you know, if it's whatever it is, you know, self-explanatory. So would that not be the best way to go now, even for people that own restaurants? Would they not require even people that's going in to say, well, you know, I don't know whether you've got COVID or not. You may have a vaccine certificate, but it doesn't guarantee you haven't got COVID.
Yeah.
So
I think the problem with that, Michael, is that, and we saw this coming, that this is designed to encourage those who are not vaccinated to get vaccinated. And if we were to use antigen tests like you're suggesting, well, then they wouldn't achieve that goal, because people would go, well, I don't need to get vaccinated. I'll just use the antigen tests. And that's where I think the resistance to those tests in that environment you mentioned comes from.
Yeah, I understand that. And the next point would be, if 90% of the people are vaccinated, you've obviously got the 300,000 that are not vaccinated, which I don't think at this stage they won't be getting vaccinated. So it doesn't really make any difference. So that argument doesn't hold up as far as I'm concerned. So they're not going to get vaccinated for whatever reason. But, you know,
do you not think 100,000 of those will now go? They'll go stuff it. You know, I can't do anything now without one of these vaccine certs. I mean, 300,000 might not. Many of them cannot, perhaps. But do you not think maybe 100,000 might go stuff it? I'm just gonna do it now because I want elements of my life back. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but do you not think that will happen?
I think we're missing the point again. You know, it's all right for the people that can take the vaccine and that choose, you know, not to take it. But I'm talking about the people that can take the vaccine. You know, so we're just going to forget about them and say, well, there's 200,000 people there. So what odds about them? You know, they don't really matter. You know, it's an awful way to look at a section of society that we've got that attitude towards them, and I think it's wrong. You know.
Okay, what about of the 300, Michael? What of the 300 that can't take the vaccine but want to take it? You know, they're on treatments for cancer, or they're immunocompromised, or whatever it might be, the criteria. They want to, but they can't. And some might feel there's a responsibility on society for the majority that can to get it, to protect those who can't get it.
No, well, see, anyone that, for a medical reason, that can't take the vaccine, I'm sure, you know, that they're very, very careful anyway. You know, they're being careful, they have been careful. But, you know, for them, for that section, we're talking about maybe 200,000 people. And, you know, because someone can't take a vaccination, you know, they shouldn't be prevented from going into a restaurant or a bar or whatever. You know, they cut that part of their life out and say, well, we just don't care. You know, you don't really matter. So, you know, but if there's an alternative, to overcome that, even say antigen testing, or which it seems to be the only way out here at this stage.
What if the same people said because of their medical reasons they can't take a vaccine, and they can't wear a mask either? Should they be allowed into the pubs and restaurants?
Well, that's an entirely different debate there. So
But there will be a crossover, and you know what I'm talking about, Michael. There will be a crossover of people that say they can't take a vaccine for medical reasons and they can't wear a mask for medical reasons. Do you think they also should be? They should also be allowed in?
Well, you see,
can't believe we're having this conversation, but that's where we're at.
Well, it's always good to have the conversation, because only by having conversation can we open up different pathways. But I think that people that are unvaccinated, are very, very careful, even with people that are vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely are, because I know that from my own personal experience. You have to be extra careful now, because being vaccinated is not the silver bullet that they thought it was going to be. They say that it prevents more sickness or whatever, but that's we're only going on really hearsay from the HSE, and you can't really take everything they say either.
I know what you're saying, Michael, and I'm quite inquisitive, but unless all of the information that we're being given is contrived, the evidence, the official evidence, does suggest, and as I say, it's nurses and doctors that I tend to sort of get my guidance from, and people working in the health service that I've spoken to privately and off air. Like there was. Well, I don't want to say anything that sort of, but there was 12 pregnant women, who were admitted to hospitals in Ireland over the course of the last couple of months, into ICU, and none of them were vaccinated. No pregnant women that were vaccinated ended up in ICU. And again, that 8% of the population is accounting for 2/3 of the pressure on the ICUs. As I say, I'm not pointing fingers at those people that have made their own personal decision. I'm just quoting the official statistics back, Michael, if that makes sense.
You see, the argument that I would see anyway, and you look at the media or whatever, the argument is, if people are not vaccinated, we're going to put pressure on the ICU beds. You see, the chickens are coming home to roost here now, because we're all aware that the HSE and NPHET and the government, they've let us all down in that respect, because from the beginning of this pandemic, the amount of ICU beds or extra beds in hospitals has been virtually, null.
Less than 300. There's still, at this day, 22nd of October, there is less than 300 ICU beds in Ireland. And that's not available ICU beds, we have more that have people in them. The totality of ICU beds in this country, with a population of 5 million plus, is less than 300. That is remarkable. We're the lowest, one of the lowest, right at the bottom of the table compared to our European neighbours.
Yeah, that's correct. And you see, getting to another point that's sometimes overlooked, for the people that are unvaccinated, that can't take their vaccinations, and they may take sick and they go in the ICU, the government and probably the HSE holds them people accountable. Oh, well, you didn't take your vaccination. But they're never, ever held accountable for their wrongdoings. And, it is wrong that they haven't, increased the capacity in the hospitals and the ICU beds. But they're not, and they never will be held accountable. And this is where I would.
What do you mean held accountable? I mean, are you on about politically? Because the opposition will stand up, and I'm not just talking about one party. Will stand up and say that what the health service is being. Is the investment in the health service is a shambles. Even if there's more money, it's not being spent correctly. You should be investing in more hospital beds. You should be investing in more ICU beds. You should be employing more staff. You should be paying them better. That's what the opposition say. The people will have their decision at the next election. Is that not what being held to account in a democracy actually is?
Well, you see, you can't hold people that are unelected accountable at an election, and there's so many people that are unelected.
Yeah, but we can talk about that. I mean, the HSE and NPHET, right? The Minister for Health is the boss of all of that. Like, you can talk about, oh, well, Tony and Philip and the rest of them, they're unelected and they're dictating this, that and the other. Make no mistakes, every single decision is the responsibility of the Education Minister and the Cabinet. They are the ones that we elected, and they can rip up NPHET's recommendations and chuck them in the bin. If the HSE don't do what the government says or believes is right, they can sack whoever is the head of the HSE, Paul Reid or whoever it might be. Ultimately, the buck stops with the overall boss of the health service, and that is Stephen Donnelly and the Cabinet, which makes these decisions.
I would disagree there. I think each hospital and each district, they're responsible. They should be responsible to add capacity to their hospitals.
Yeah, but there's vacancies advertised in every single hospital in the country. They can't get the staff. There is any discipline of medicine. You can, if you have the qualifications, you can walk in and start work in Letterkenny University Hospital. We have the hospital management on asking listeners if they've got any family with certain medical qualifications to apply, because there's jobs there for them. There's jobs available right across the health service.
I understand that as well. This is my own personal opinion. It's not, it's just my own personal opinion. You've got a lot of people employed by the HSE in Donegal and in Ireland. Is it mismanagement? Is there not enough people, or is it mismanagement? This is the question that I would ask. And this question hasn't been asked because we've come to the point now where you can't really criticise anyone in the medical profession as you're seen as some kind of a conspiracist or whatever.
I mean, Michael, I understand where you're coming from, and people are afraid to put their head above the parapet for fear of being grouped in and labelled. But we had that report last week in as it relates to gynecological care at the hospital, and I had the hospital manager on, and I says, look, is anyone responsible? Who's going to take responsibility for it? Is everyone who was involved in that process still employed at the hospital? We had the head of the Sealta Hospital Group on yesterday, put those questions to him as well. He says, yes, I'm ultimately responsible. And then they will tell you the reasons, how they're improving things and how things are now and what they're going to go into the future. I mean, I'm sitting here asking those questions of these people. So it's not like it's all being buried and it isn't discussed. If you go back and listen to last week's show, you'll hear me speaking to Sean Murphy, and on yesterday's show you'll hear me putting the same questions to the Sealta Hospital Group. There's beyond that, there's not much else someone like I can do. I mean, and the questions were put to him. I says to Sean Murphy, I mean, who is responsible? Our head's going to roll. Is anyone held accountable in the health service? So the questions are being asked. We might not be satisfied with the answers.
Yeah, you see, at the beginning of the pandemic, and thankfully a lot of people hasn't forgotten it. The HSE was asking people to return to Ireland because we're going to be overrun and whatever, and anybody with any medical qualification to come back to Ireland, and there were thousands and thousands of people come back. And a lot of people, retired nurses and whatever, put their name forward. They were never used. Mm-hmm. They were never, ever used.
That's right. We've spoken to them on this programme. We interviewed one person who came back ready to go. Wasn't even called.
So, they sent out this call to arms. The people responded. People in the medical profession responded. And they were never used. Who sent out this call to arms? And then who decided, well, we're not going to use them? Mm. Was it the Minister for Health? Was it the head of the HSE in each hospital? Or who? And, you're right, there will never be anybody held responsible. There's billions and billions been spent since the beginning of this pandemic. And, the ICU beds, you could count them in one hand. And, it's an indictment on us as a country, and it's an indictment on the government that we allowed this to happen. Ultimately, the people of Ireland are responsible. We can't say, that Minister for Health is responsible, but ultimately it's the people of Ireland are responsible for allowing it to happen. It should never. There's billions upon billions upon billions has been wasted. You know, an ordinary person on the street knows it's been wasted. And there's not one person who's going to be held responsible.
I know, I understand that, but like, and I'm not saying that's not the case, but you know, I think all of us, or people close to us, many of us, I think the majority of us, have gone into our hospital service, been very well looked after by the staff, and you know, hopefully the majority of us get home. You know, someone will find a lump today. Unfortunately, they'll go to the GP, they'll be referred. They'll go into the hospital, they'll be diagnosed, they'll be put on a treatment plan, they'll be given their support, and hopefully, they'll come through it and go on to live a long and healthy life. That's what the health service does, and that's what we entrust them to do. Like, I don't think anyone who has been given a cancer diagnosis goes, you know, I'm not going near the hospital. I don't trust those doctors. I don't know what's in those drugs that they're sticking in my arm on an IV. We trust them because that's what they do. That they get us well. Our young fella, if it wasn't for the staff in maternity, would be dead. And others, unfortunately, haven't been as lucky as we were. But they spotted that there was a breathing problem, and he ended up in ICU, and they looked after him and delivered him to us as a healthy baby. That's what the hospitals do for us. That I wasn't going to go and grab him and go, I'm leaving here, I don't trust what you are doing. I laid all my trust in those people, and that's what we always do. And the majority of the time, they come through for us. But when it comes to this particular line of treatment, there's a lot of people that all of a sudden think, oh, well, the fix must be in. There's something going on here. We don't trust them anymore. And that's what I don't get. It's just the a la carte sort of cherry picking of medical advice.
No, I'm not, you know, discounting, you know, what the medical profession do, and I would even try and do that. All that I am saying is, you know, there's been an awful lot of waste, and, you know, we haven't got any end product from all the money that's spent. Okay, you could say there's a lot of lives being saved, and there has been a lot of lives being saved, you know, through medical intervention. But, you know, I don't hear too many doctors on, you know, and I'm not being critical of any doctors here or anything like that. I'm just being open and honest. I don't hear too many doctors on saying the benefits of antigen testing. You know, they're not doing that.
I think the only, to be honest with you, one thing, Michael, I'll say though, like, and I don't, and I hope you feel that you're getting your view out and it's being respected, because I do respect what you have to say. The only people I thought really that were against antigen testing were NPHET. Everyone else has been screaming out for them. The entertainment sector, I'm sure, I am absolutely almost positive that people in medicine would love to see antigen testing. Anything that helps. It's NPHET that called it snake oil. It's NPHET that went to a health committee and said that they're useless, that with low levels of infection they don't prove anything. And I'm paraphrasing there, Michael. It's NPHET that were the only voices I heard that were dead against these things.
Yeah, you see, I think that NPHET has taken a position that they're the government. You know, I really believe some people in NPHET think that they're running the country. I do believe that, and that's not a criticism of any individual. That's of them all. Whereas it's the government and ultimately the Taoiseach's responsible and the Minister for Health. But they've taken a position, and some of them don't like it, or, you know, we've had theories and there is people on the NPHET committee that have a vested interest in PCR testing, and we know that, you know, so we can use that as an example why maybe they don't want antigen testing, because you don't know, you know, and there don't seem to be any clarity on it at all.
Okay. Michael, listen, I'm backed up on our breaks here now, but I wanted to hear what you had to say. Thanks for joining us on the programme.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Michael there, 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and texts.
The 9 till noon show with National Fuels Letterkenny. For a keen price on your home heating oil, call National Fuels on 9137 400.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 91 262 76.
Every time you hear AIB is lighting the way for someone to switch their mortgage. You see, we have offers to suit every kind of switcher. Talk to our switching team today to see just how much money you could save on your mortgage. Or get started on AIB.ie. AIB. We back belief. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Allied Irish Banks plc and AIB Mortgage Bank UC are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now's the time to have them printed at mcgee's.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, then choose your size and finish. There's click and collect, or you can have your prints delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also various creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgee's.ie.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years, and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
The big sofa and half-price mattress sale is now on at Better Value Furnishings Moville. Save hundreds on recliner and corner suites. Hundreds of quality mattresses at half price. 45-minute drive from Letterkenny. Better Value Furnishings, Main Street, Moville, for Donegal's lowest prices on sofas and beds.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time's 10:49. Frank Harburns, General Manager for the rollout of the vaccination programme in the West and North West. Frank, thanks for joining us today.
Morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
Is it possible to determine if you've seen any increase in interest for vaccines over the course of the last few days with all the decisions that have been made by government?
Not within the last couple of days for sure, but I haven't scrutinised the data that closely. But we're certainly hoping for a push this bank holiday weekend. I think there are some decisions that have been made by government which might nudge people in the direction of having a vaccine if they were previously on the fence or undecided, for sure.
All right, if listeners are amongst those being nudged, what access do they have this weekend?
So we've got the centre open in the Letterkenny Community Assessment Hub, which is on the Kilmacrennan Road, and we're open there for walk-ins for dose 1 or dose 2 of Pfizer. That's anyone aged 12 and older. That's Saturday the 23rd of October, 10:15 to 4:30. The same time on Sunday the 24th, and on Monday 25th, Bank Holiday Monday, 10:15 to 5:30. And people who were due a dose 2 who received their first dose on or before 4th of October for that Monday.
What's it as it relates to people under 18, 12 and above? You need to be accompanied. Do you at 16 and over? You can go in alone.
That's correct. Yes.
What do people need with them?
They need to bring the usual material. If your first dose of your vaccine, you need to bring along your PPS number. If you don't have that, you can still get vaccinated if you bring your proof of address. That could be such as a household bill or a letter from a public service department or agency, or a letter from the owner of the property to confirm that you live there. And this can be your parent if you're living there. You need your air code, your mobile phone number, your email address, and a photo ID, which could be a school ID. Now, if you don't have the photo ID and you're coming in with parental consent, it'd be useful if you have if you bring your birth certificate along. But the adult who comes accompanying that child aged 12 to 15 can confirm their identity and their age. There
will be some out there. There's a lot of talk of boosters and third doses. We have to be clear, don't we? You can't walk up and request a booster at these walk-in clinics.
No, that's absolutely correct. I mean, right now the cohorts that we're currently vaccinating, we're doing walk-ins still, like we say. We're doing there's a immunocompromised cohort, and they get specific appointments text sent to them. And elsewhere within the community, there's been some activity in giving boosters in residential care facilities as well to those that are over 65.
What if I got a first dose of a different vaccine? I have, for whatever reason, I didn't get the second dose of that vaccine. I don't want to get it. and there's only Pfizer available this weekend. Are we mixing vaccines now? Well, mixing.
Yeah,
I don't want to. That sounds kind of emotive language, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, there's been, as you'll be aware, there's been much more research on this, and so there's been recommendations made by NIAC on this, of course. So, for example, if you had the first dose of AstraZeneca and you don't want to get that for whatever reason, you can choose to get an mRNA instead. So an mRNA such as Pfizer. So we're typically giving Pfizer for that. So that will make sure that you're fully vaccinated, and we would encourage people to do that if they do have concerns around that. And of course, there's always lots of information there on the website at hc.ie.
So if I got an AstraZeneca in say March, and then I didn't go back for my second, it's never too late to get your second, is it? In other words, the gap can't be too big. Is really my question.
Yeah, that's correct. No, I mean it's not a case of you've got to start all over again. It's a case of we would urge you to continue and get that second dose to be as fully vaccinated as you can be.
Okay, a texter says, I've just walked into the Kilmacrennan Centre this morning for the first vaccine and was told, no, I need to register online. So which is it?
Sorry, say again?
Someone just walked into the Kilmacrennan Centre this morning for the first vaccine. Is that on the Kilmacrennan Road? Yeah, the centre on the Kilmacrennan Road. They walked in for the first time for the first vaccine this morning and were refused it and told to register online.
Well, we do ask that people are registered, but that registration can be done there and then. So I'd need to look at that one.
Okay, but it's definitely walk-in tomorrow, Sunday and Monday.
Walk-in Saturday, Sunday and Monday.
No need to pre-register online, is there?
We'd encourage people to register. Registration can be done, but we'd encourage people to register because we can't administer a vaccine until we can confirm the individual's identity and that they haven't previously received the vaccination if they're looking for a first dose.
And if that registration is done online, presumably then it also saves time. It saves time down at the centre itself.
It does. It saves a considerable amount of time. Yeah, it's a lot quicker to do online. It could even be done while people are waiting in the queue using the app. If they've got that information to hand, they could do that. Just log on online and then they can do the registration there.
Right, Frank Harburn, thank you very much indeed. He's the General Manager for the rollout of the vaccination programme in the West and the North West.
Get ready for winter with National Fuels, delivering home heating oil in Letterkenny and surrounding areas at competitive prices. National Fuels, 9137400, proud sponsors of today's show.
At Super Value, we've amazing low prices with great offers like save 33% in our steak sale with Super Value Fresh Irish Strip Loin, Sirloin and Tomahawk Steak. Super Value Signature Tastes award-winning breakfast deal, only €5. And Super Value Signature Taste Party Food, any two for €7. Super Value, real food, real people.
So Good Juice is an award-winning naturally homegrown juice shot based in the Northwest. Our 100% organic juice offers a choice of 3 key ingredients. Wheatgrass, helping your immune system. Turmeric and ginger works effectively as an anti-inflammatory. Beetroot and ginger improves blood flow and reduces blood pressure. And they're all great for boosting energy. Available in Boggs Butchers Malin, Gallagher's Meats Buncrana, McColgan's Muff and Watson's Butchers St Johnston. So Good Juice. Start something good today.
On this week's Business Matters, I'll be joined by the CEO and founder of Mosaic Digital Solutions for Early Education, Aaron McMonigal, and Economic Development Officer with Donegal County Council, Stephen Perry. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters in association with the LYIT Faculty of Business. Do you want to learn how to tap into unprecedented opportunities in the food and drink industry? Then join our higher diploma in Food Product Innovation and Enterprise. This course is 100% online and co-funded by Donegal Local Enterprise Office. Visit lyit.ie for more information.
Erex infrared silent odourless heaters are the perfect solution for heating garages, workshops, recreation facilities, leisure and fitness hubs, caravans and large greenhouses. This super efficient heater only needs 2.5 litres of green diesel or kerosene per day, costing you as little as €1.50 per day to heat your whole building. Heat up your premises this winter without paying a fortune by investing in an Erex commercial heater today. For more information, call 085 2260 259.
Century Complex has something for everyone. Treat yourself to a tasty meal at Backstage Bar and Grill, an exciting movie at Century Cinemas, and Century Play is now open. Get in touch with our team on 074 91 21976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
The big games for Finn Harps keep coming, and this weekend they face European chasing Sligo Rovers in the derby. Harps sit just 1 point above the relegation playoff spot, so points in the coming weeks will be crucial. Join the Highland team from the 7:30 kickoff for full match commentary this Saturday. Finn Harps on Highland, in association with BNS Credit Union Ballybuffet, where their seasonal loan is now available. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. BNS Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Homeland Fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 40 kg premium doubles or easy flame coal, $16.99. Buy 10, get 1 free. Hardwood logs, 2 bags for only €10. Flow gas £25 gas cylinder, only €25.99. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
At Letterkenny Concrete, we are synonymous with supplying quality blocks and concrete. If you are building or redeveloping, we have a floor solution that offers low running costs for underfloor heating whilst providing better energy ratings. Semfloor is a BBA approved high performance cement based self compacting liquid screed. With easy installation, it reduces time and cost with foot traffic within 24 to 48 hours. For more information on Semfloor, call Letterkenny Concrete today on 07491 22773. You'll be glad you did. This Halloween, take a trip to Chrysler Supermarket. Trick or treat your way around the store for fantastic value and all your Halloween goodies, together with our usual excellent choices on everyday necessities. Open 7 days per week for your convenience. Chrysler Supermarket, quality and value always assured.
Business owners, are you wondering what to do for your staff for Christmas? Well, at Kelly Centre in Letterkenny, there's great hampers to suit all budgets, with delivery available. Luxury hampers are a speciality. There's also vouchers for Kelly's award-winning diner or Circle K fuel at the forecourt. Get Christmas sorted for your staff now by calling Kelly Centre, Mountaintop Letterkenny on 91222026.
It's where you live, it's where you relax, it's where you make your memories. Your home deserves to look its best with stylish furnishings. At Cooney's Home Interiors, we have everything in store to help recreate your home. Choose from our extensive range of suites, tables, beds, mattresses and home furnishings for every room. Cooney's Home Interiors Letterkenny. Perfect comfort, perfect style.
Ireland is proceeding carefully with our plan to manage COVID-19. However, with infection rates increasing, along with hospitalisations and ICU admissions, we will keep using our COVID passes and all redouble our efforts to protect the progress we have made and keep moving forward. Vaccination is the best way to protect ourselves against COVID-19. But we must also continue working together to protect ourselves and each other by acting fast, isolating and getting tested if we have symptoms, wearing our face coverings where appropriate, making sure that indoor spaces are well ventilated, making full use of the space available to us, and covering our coughs and sneezes and keeping our hands clean. And remember, if you are in a place where guidelines are not being followed and you don't feel safe, take your business elsewhere. We will continue to keep you updated with public health guidance and the information you need on gov.ie/recovery, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Take home heating efficiency to new levels with Grant's air-to-water heat pump and underfloor heating. Visit grant.eu.
OK, there'll be some bright to sunny spells today, but a good deal of cloud overall. Scattered showers will feed eastwards across the country in a moderate westerly breeze. The showers most frequent the further north of the county you go. Temperatures ranging 11 to 14 degrees. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Michael and Fionnuala joining us shortly with a look at all things entertainment. But at a minute past 11 now, it's time for our latest news, and it's good morning to Catherine Gaffney.
Good morning, Greg. Letterkenny University Hospital is once again the most overcrowded in Ireland today. As of this morning, there were 49 people awaiting admission, with 15 on trolleys and 34 waiting on wards or in overflow areas. The number waiting is up 3 on yesterday's figure of 46. The head of the HSE says he's quite nervous about how hospitals will cope in the coming months. Latest figures show 457 people are in hospital with COVID and 88 in ICU. It comes as COVID restrictions ease further today with the reopening of the nightlife sector, and full capacity is now allowed at weddings and sport venues. Well, the Taoiseach says he's receiving feedback that most nightclubs are happy to reopen tonight, despite the new guidelines being issued last minute. Nightclubs are welcoming back customers for the first time since March of 2020 at 100% capacity. Meanwhile, pubs and restaurants can stay open past 11:30, while customers can get a drink at the bar, but they must be socially distanced. The Donegal and Glenties electoral areas continue to experience a rise in the COVID rate. Latest figures, which cover up to last Monday, show either small increases or reductions for other local electoral areas in the county. A Donegal deputy is calling on the government to invest more in breast check services. Independent TD Thomas Pringle says that he wants to see the temporary breast check centre in Donegal town be made permanent, and that government should stay true to a promise of a new centre being established in Buncrana. The Vice President of the Garda Representative Association says the drop in Garda numbers in Donegal comes as no surprise. Latest figures show there were 13 less Gardaí stationed in the county this year compared with 2020. However, when compared with the fleet in 2008, there are almost 40 fewer currently serving in the Donegal Garda division. And Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConalogue has today confirmed over €250,000 in funding to support 13 outdoor projects across Donegal. The scheme is designed to support the enhancement of dozens of recreational amenities such as mountain trails, forest walks, beaches, rivers, lakes, blueways and greenways. That's it for now. We're back with more at 12 noon.
Thank you, Catherine. It is the 9 till noon show. We have a quick break to take, and then we are going to be joined in studio by Fionnuala and via Zoom. Michael, if you want to watch the entertainment slot, by the way, hop on right now to our Facebook pages, Highland Radio News and Sport or Highland Radio. And now you can watch on YouTube. So you can watch it on your telly, your phone, wherever you want to watch it. Our YouTube account there is Highland Radio Ireland, or you can go onto our webpage and there's a link there where you can watch if you want to interact with us in a different way.
Residential property owners, the deadline for submitting your local property tax return to Revenue is the 7th of November. Before submitting your return, you need to determine the market value of your property. The easiest way to submit your return is online at revenue.ie. If you need help, you can call Revenue on 01 738 3626. Don't miss the deadline. Submit your local property tax return by the 7th of November.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
When the day arrives for you to scrap your old car, help will be at hand. With Elves, the go-to place for car recycling, the process is easy. First, visit elves.ie to find a recycling facility near you. Next, drop your car off or have it collected. Finally, receive your certificate of destruction, ending your responsibility for the vehicle. And that's it. It really is that simple. You've done your bit for the environment and for your own peace of mind. For more information, visit elves.ie.
Join David James with his special guest Olivia Douglas plus the Ryan Turner Band this Saturday night, the 23rd, in Ungreener Hotel, Burt. Tickets on sale from hotel reception and on the door on the night. Doors open 8:30. Why not make a night of it with B&B for two people, only €99. That's David James live in Ungreener Hotel, Burt this Saturday night.
At Tesco, we know that a little help can make a big difference. That's why we're celebrating World Food Day this October 16th. A little help is
working with local charitable groups like us, the Muslim Sisters of Era. Through Tesco's partnership with Food Cloud, we're able to reduce our weekly food costs by using donations of perfectly good surplus food from their stores to make meals for the homeless. That means we can feed even more people, those who need it most.
Tesco, every little helps.
Imagine a financial provider with your best interests at heart, that's owned by its members. It's what sets them apart. They don't run for profit, fame, or for clout. They put members first. It's what they're about. Helpful online and in person. It just goes to show. No wonder they won the Customer Experience Award 7 years in a row. Local and friendly sounds too good to be true. It's the credit union, of course, here for people like you. The credit union. Imagine more. Voted first place in Ireland's Customer Experience Insights report for a record-breaking 7 years in a row, credit unions in the Republic of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme, and it's time for this. And you can tell I don't have Disney Plus, I don't have Apple product or any other streaming service because I didn't put them in there. Fionnuala, good morning to you.
Good morning, after morning to you too.
Very good. And
I'm keeping good.
Excellent stuff. Michael, how are you?
Good after morning to you as well, Greg.
Excellent. It covers everything, doesn't it? What are you going to mention the beard? I thought it was going.
I know. I thought we were supposed to be losing Santi this week, but no.
I'm performing next weekend for Halloween, and that's it. Then I'm doing a show.
Werewolf kind of a role, is it? Or?
It's a ghost. It's Halloween, so I'm playing a ghost in Strabane on the street.
Wow,
okay. I could totally see you. I could totally see you doing Christmas Past. You've got that Christmas Past look about
you. When were you asked to do this?
Oh my God. 6 weeks, a couple of months ago.
Wow, that is commitment, isn't it, to the role?
Well, no, but it also means for the other 46
There's no excuse.
Weeks of the year, he looks like that on purpose.
Right, okay, my bad. Okay, anyway, you're looking good. Right, we'll start with you. Interesting to hear your views on Callan Kicks the Years in RTE, because I'll tell you why. I love the radio show, but I have not really watched a televised comedy on RTE that didn't make me cringe.
Yeah, I have to say it's a little bit of this. And I love the premise of it, and I'm hoping that he brings it over into the radio show. For me, what's wrong is that when he's doing the impressions on the radio show, and even for me, I listen to it on the podcast when I'm driving around, and I just find it really good because you can completely immerse yourself in it because you're not visualizing it. And with the best will in the world to Oliver Callan, he does not look like most of those guys that he's trying to do. And occasionally he does Miriam, and that's definitely a stretch of the imagination when you physically see him dressed as Miriam.
It's good, because if he said it the other way, it would be a problem. So it's good that it's a stretch for the imagination.
No, it totally is. So I really like the premise of this, though, which is interesting. He's taking years in history in Ireland. So I kind of went into it thinking, is this going to be a bit of a reeling in the years? And it sort of is, but with narration. So he starts off and he has... It's 1921, so it's very much kind of Dev, Michael Collins, and all that kind of stuff that's going through. You've got Manona Heron, a few different things. He does the All Ireland stuff that you would have seen in Reeling in the Years had we had television in 1921. And so it is very interesting, and kind of there's a little bit of a historical thing to it as well as the whole kind of obviously joking side of it. But yeah, for me personally, I do find it a stretch for... Like, again, Oliver Callan trying to be Dev is not... Just putting on little roundy glasses does not a Dev make.
They probably couldn't do it because of resources and all, but would this have worked better if they'd have done it sort of, with animation? And not animation that costs a fortune, maybe a South Park type animation or whatever. Would it have worked better then? It would have been visual, but you could have focused more on the voices and the comedy?
Yeah, well, probably, but then I'm an old-fashioned kind of like that spitting image and all that kind of thing, so... That would kind of really appeal to me in that sense. It's just like he's a lot of different people working with them on this, and there's a lot of extras, which I don't know, do they work with them on the radio show or not? But they're there's a lot of ladies with them on this, as well as a couple of different men playing different roles. So it is very good, and some of the voices are excellent, and it is an interesting kind of thing. But for me, it's just a little bit of a stretch. I mean, it's definitely worth sitting down and having a watch of it, but You
didn't employ the cushion?
No, it's not that cringeworthy, no.
Okay. Ursula messages in and
says...
Good morning, Greg and Michael and Fionnuala. I'm sorry I missed the entertainment slot last Friday, but I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciated the birthday wishes and the review, Michael. I think this was a video that you sent.
That's my cousin. Yeah, she was sick last week, so she missed it.
I laughed my socks off. Best wishes, Ursula, in brackets, Fionnuala's younger cousin.
By 4 months.
Younger cousin.
By 4 months.
It's
still
it's
not
4
good.
years.
More distinction.
4 hours.
It's only tiny.
There's twins that argue about who's older and younger. And they're often much closer together.
Yeah, well, we've hit the biggie this year, so that's why it's getting more and more important.
Sure, 40's the new 30. Right, so Callan Kicks then, what would you give it out of 10?
Well, for me, I'd probably give it a 6 or 7, but I think other people will really enjoy it because they have enjoyed his stuff in the past. And that's just for me, I can't kind of suspend myself into it. I'd much prefer this on the radio or not. But a 6 out of 7 is where I'd go with it at the moment for myself.
A texter says, haha, tell your panel to be careful not to give away any spoilers today on your show, Greg. Unlike last week on the Bond film, just saying good man thanks, that's directed completely and utterly at you. Me and Fionnuala are blameless, but that it's not a spoiler really. Obviously turned out to be a spoiler.
I don't think there was. There really wasn't. So I said nothing. I was about a half sentence into it and you were squealing like a little girl.
I think it might have been previous characters. Also, I don't know what it was anyway. Okay, but listen, we'll knock it out.
Oh, well, that's a very good point. Yeah, well, that's maybe possibly. But again, anything I said was in the first.
You're normally pretty careful.
But it's usually the first. It's literally the pre-credits.
Do you know what? I would say that person is a little bit like me. I can't watch trailers because anything in the trailer feels like a spoiler to me. Because
sometimes you can do. Yeah.
A big scene, if it's not in the first hour, I'm trying to enjoy it, but I've seen it in the trailer and I'm trying to fit in where in the story it is. So I would say it's that type of a person. Obviously, none of you have watched You. The third series of You was released on Netflix.
No. Have you seen it? Because it sounds like an interesting. I remember you liking it before.
I don't really have a synopsis. I'm not really good at this. It's about a fella who obsesses on women, and I think some people are a little bit uncomfortable with that concept at the moment. But he obsesses on women, and I won't. In case anyone wants to start it from the beginning, if I talk about the third series, it gives spoilers away. Yeah. It's very Dexter-ish. It's that type of a thing, and I think it's even leaning more on the Dexter and the childhood type of thing in this series. It's narrated an awful lot, and it feels more so in season 3 than the other two, and it's really getting on my wick. And I'm on episode 6, and I can't kind of wait for it. It's not narrated; it's his internal thoughts, do you know? But it's continuous. It's continuous, even more than spoken dialogue. But anyone out there watching that on Netflix, 086 60 25,000, tell us what you think.
It's getting good reviews, the third season, because I was looking at it.
Because
they've kind of introduced a little bit more depth to it.
Well, there's another person
increasing the.
There's another person in his life who is probably a worse character, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of, it's and he's unaware of this probably-ish. I don't know. Right, that's You on Netflix. Tell us what you think. You've just got around to watching Midnight Mass, Michael. This is another show on Netflix. Dare I say, maybe the first kind of big thing that come out post-COVID. What do you think of it?
I really enjoyed this a lot. I remember you guys had mentioned it when it started about 3-4 weeks back, and I think you were more lukewarm on it. It's very different to the first two shows that Mike Flanagan has done for Netflix. Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor had ghosts in them. This has a very different type of supernatural entity, evil, I suppose, in it. And it's very much focused on religion. But I did love it. I thought it was good. It's good to see a change. This is a guy who makes these series. He doesn't repeat himself, which I do admire. He could have just kept going back to the same well. But this is a different type of scenario. Some great performances in this. The main villain for me as Samantha Sloyan as Bev was just despicable. I grew to despise that woman so much. Thought amazing performance from her. Hamish Linklater.
Is this the assistant? This is the assistant to the priest. Did you not find that a really hammy, sort of overplayed part? Like
it struck a chord because I kind of have known people like that, to be quite honest. So I didn't. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked Hamish Linklater as the priest. I thought his performances were magnetic, just amazing to watch it. It was the most evil thing about it wasn't the evil that I don't want to spoil it, but it was really people with nefarious purposes misusing the Bible scripture and justifying their actions. And I thought that was terrifying, and I thought it was really well done. And again, what Mike Flanagan does with all these shows is, at the end of the day, it's actually quite a serious meditation on life and love, family love,
Loss.
grief. Yes,
Yeah.
grief, 100%. He does that in all three
Did
shows.
you not find that the sermons went on a little bit too long? That it was a bit self-indulgent?
The pace was very slow at times. I agree. I think you could have shaved maybe 10 minutes off each of the episodes. I agree with you. But at the same time, I thought the payoff, like when things got, now it wasn't scary. It wasn't scary at all, like the first two. But when things got supernatural, I thought it justified itself. But I have to agree with you. I mean, yeah, the episodes, like I would look at the time on each episode and it was an hour and 7, and I was like, oh, why can't it be 57? Because it just felt like that extra 10 minutes could be shaved off in every one of the episodes, But I did enjoy it. I wouldn't say it's as strong as the first two. It's different, but it does what Mike Flanagan does.
I found some of the writing really quite, there's one scene whereby, I don't know if I mentioned the last time I was on, but where she describes how the loss of a baby, a loss of a miscarriage, how she rationalizes that and how it fits into her life. And I thought that was, I thought that, a lot of thought had went into that, and I thought the way it was written and how it meant was beautiful. Do you know what I mean? And then there was other stuff that, as I say, I thought it was a bit ranting and raving, but so
particularly with Father Paul, he was probably the guiltiest of ranting and raving. But do you know those scenes where the main lead female character and the guy who came back, they talked about what happens after death? Those two monologues were very long, but they were brilliant. I thought they were two opposing views on
how
what
did you
happened.
think she delivered it? Do you not think? I can't remember how it was, but she delivers it in a very peculiar way.
Do you think? I think she's very, I don't know, she's just real. I like her performances. Like I like what she does. I like the way she does, and I love Zach. He was on Friday Night Lights, the other guy. I mean, so I love anything he pops up in. I mean,
It's gone up 1 or 2 percentages out of 10, 1 or 2 points out of 10 on reflection to me, taking it in the whole, and as you say, the payoff. You know what I mean? It is worth watching. I don't think anyone should be discovered from watching because it does ask an awful lot of questions.
Yeah.
So what would you give it out of 10? Midnight Mass on Netflix.
I would probably go for 8.5 to 9. So it's very good, but not as strong as because I loved Haunting of Hill House. In fact, I'd love to watch that again over Halloween if I had a chance, because that was scary as all get out.
And the sequel of Haunting of Hill House is...
Oh, Bly Manor was the
Bly
second.
Manor, and the same actress in both of those is one of the leads in the third series.
A lot of the same people, and I was reading
she's
last
also
night.
in You as well, and she's actually in that again as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah, and also production has now finished on the fourth one, which is called Midnight Club. I was looking at it last night on IMDb, and it's a lot of the same people again. That same actress, Bev, Samantha Sloyan, she's one of the people in Midnight Club, and that'll be next year, and that'll be 8 hours, 8 episodes. I think it's 8 separate ghost stories. I was reading the premise. I think it's each episode is a separate ghost story, is the premise.
Okay. Fionnuala?
I'm a big scaredy cat.
But you haven't watched this at all then?
I watched the first episode of it. And I actually liked where it's set, because it kind of has that, as I said, that has that sort of Newfoundland kind of, so they do sort of talk. Well, I don't want to say they talk funny, but they do. They're funny to my ear. That is their accent. That is the accent in that kind of general area, which I always like.
GP, they've got a GP, they've got a sheriff, they've got a permanent priest.
To be honest, I don't know, did I freak myself out with it? Because it just felt a little bit too much like the one that Michael made me watch and said it was really good about the religion, the cult on the island, and that just freaked the bejeenie out of me, and also was terrible. So yeah, I will try again if you're saying 8 to 9.
For island communities that are subject.
In fairness, you want to get yourself out to Tory and start your own cult or something.
Speaking
you have
of
the beard and everything, you're just halfway there.
Speaking of terror, can we spare a thought for mums and dads who were told at 7:30 this morning that today is dress up day at school?
Oh God, I know.
I think we've all been there at some point, you know. What am I wearing to school today? Your uniform. What do you mean? No, it's fancy dress today. Oh, you know, it's we're leaving the house in 20 minutes, don't you?
I know. Golly with the days when you used to just throw a bit of flour on your face and you were done. I swear to God, I have pictures of my nieces and nephews. It's insane what they have to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe girls might be better organised than boys. Now, sweeping statement, but boys might be entitled.
Very true.
They might be in. Well, if you've ever the boys' school bag at the end of as they break for summer.
Oh God, the grossness.
Okay, there's 15 letters.
I just had a mental flashback there to my brothers. Oh, the smell.
Yeah, not to mention the letters sent back with the teacher that we never given to you.
They were ignored.
All right, you tune to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. By the way, can we mention what we're going to be launching later, Fionnuala, or...
Yeah, we can, but we have a bit of a teaser going at the moment on air.
A huge thingamajig.
Yes.
Is that'll do?
That'll do. A huge thingamajig to announce at about 10 to 12.
At about 10 to 12, so stay tuned for that. Right, you're hearing Fionnuala and Michael, and back with more after this break.
Get ready for winter with National Fuels, delivering home heating oil in Letterkenny and surrounding areas at competitive prices. National Fuels, 9137 400, proud sponsors of today's show.
At Luca's Burger, Pasta and Pizza Restaurant, we pride ourselves on cooking everything fresh. Try our beef burgers sourced from our own farm, delicious pasta and wood-fired oven pizzas. If you have room left, treat yourself to one of our homemade desserts. Luca's, Canal Road, Letterkenny, run by a family for all your family.
Special Halloween offers at Doherty Centra Moville. Inspired by Centra Irish Angus sirloin steaks with peppercorn butter, €6. Centra Fresh Irish Whole Chicken 1.6 kg, €4.50. 12-pack cans of Guinness, Heineken, Carlsberg, Budweiser and Bulmers, €15. Cadbury snack size bags, €2. 4-pack bars, €1.50. Everything you need for Halloween at Doherty Centra Moville. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mazzell and Patrick Feeney are coming back to Donegal. See this award-winning show live at Jackson's Hotel Ballyboufet on Thursday the 6th of January. Tickets, price €35, are now on sale at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. The Three Amigos live in concert. It's not to be missed.
Residential property owners. The deadline for submitting your local property tax return to Revenue is the 7th of November. Before submitting your return, you need to determine the market value of your property. The easiest way to submit your return is online at revenue.ie. If you need help, you can call Revenue on 01 738 3626. Don't miss the deadline. Submit your local property tax return by the 7th of November.
The Donegal Senior Football Championship has reached the semi-final stage, and you can follow the action here on Highland, on air across the Northwest and online at highlandradio.com. St Michael's face St Eunan's on Saturday at 5 in Ballyboufet, and then in a repeat of the 2020 final, holders Ncbi Bingo meet Kilcar in Letterkenny on Sunday at 1:45. Join the Highland teams this weekend with expert analysis from Martin McHugh and Brendan Devaney. Highland's coverage of the Donegal Senior Football Championship is with Highland Motors Mountain Top Letterkenny with the 100% electric Renault Zoe E-Tech. Now available with 0% finance, €1,000 green bonus and free home charger. Terms and conditions apply.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time's 11:25. Just to remind you, you can watch this item and the whole show every weekday on our Facebook pages and also on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, and you can get that link to the YouTube channel directly off the front page of our website as well. It's there as a story. Right. Fionnuala, we'll talk about The Closer by Dave Chappelle. Now, I've watched some of his stuff and I just, I didn't really find it funny, but I don't find a lot of that kind of stuff funny. Who's the guy from The Office? What's his name? The guy
Steve.
No,
Ricky Gervais?
Yeah, Ricky Gervais. I don't find him funny. This sort of commentary on life and humor. You know what I mean? I don't get that. But anyway, what did you think of The Closer with Dave Chappelle on Netflix?
I've watched all of them. He got... Dave Chappelle, very famous American comedian, he was offered a shed load of money, but years and years ago. I think it might have been like for about 15, 16 years ago. And he walked away from it because he didn't like the deal that they were giving, and they weren't kind of spreading it out and elevating the African Americans that were working on it, and everybody wasn't getting paid the same and that kind of thing. So he walked away from the deal, and he was missing for a long time, kind of just doing smaller stuff, because he kind of got blacklisted a bit by the big industry studios and stuff like that. So I really enjoy Dave Chappelle because I find his comedy very kind of smart, and as you say, it's very much looking at life. But he also takes kind of a very sort of a backwards look on a lot of things. You know what I mean? And he can be very. In sort of making you look at it, he can sometimes be very sort of insulting towards it, and yet then he turns it around with the punchline or whatever that he's saying. So I do enjoy that kind of comedy. So I'd watched all of his, and I knew that there had been some controversy about it because he does talk an awful lot about the LGBTQ community in particular. He talks a lot about friends of his who have been caught up in. Well, I suppose for some of them they were caught up in the Me Too movement, and for others of them they actually did terrible things. So I'm not trying to justify what anybody does or doesn't do, but people who he knew, whose careers had been going off, and
those that have been cancelled as well, presumably. Is that he's talking about?
Yes,
the
I mean he was very much. I won't even say the guy's name because I can't think of it. Louis, whatever his name is, was one of the comedians, and he got cancelled because
Louis C.K.
Yeah, Louis C.K. was a friend of his, and he got cancelled because, well, according to Chappelle, it was in the privacy of his own home, and he should have been allowed to do what he likes in the privacy of his own home. I don't know the full story, so I wouldn't get into it. But that's the kind of thing that he talks about, and he talks about things like he starts off this one, and he talks about he wants to address the LGBTQ community for the release of DaBaby. DaBaby is a rapper in America who said some terrible things.
Absolutely disgusting.
Terrible things. Yeah. And when he was but prior to that, he was somebody that had been one of the top downloaded artists in America. Mm-hmm. Then he said some horrendous things, which Dave Chappelle said he just did say some horrendous things. But as Dave Chappelle points out, he said, years ago, apparently, DaBaby was involved in an incident and he shot somebody and that person died, and it had no impact whatsoever on DaBaby's career. But as soon as he started talking about the LGBTQ community, he was completely cancelled, and that's the whole thing. And this is the type of thing that he talks about.
But I suppose, and not getting into the ins and outs of it because I haven't seen it, but, that's an incident. I presume DaBaby, went through the system and, served his time and went through. DaBaby's comments were grossly offensive to quite an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
It's funny you should mention that because I did catch a wee bit of Ricky Gervais, and he was also defending a joke he made as it relates to Jenner, I think it was, and explaining why it wasn't transphobic. But the responsibility of hurt and offence is not really on the person that's inflicting it. It's how people receive it, isn't it? Isn't that really?
Well, I suppose it is, but the way, and who am I now? And obviously, I'm not somebody to be defending Ricky Gervais or
I'm not
or Dave Chappelle. But they would say that when things are said in a comic situation, it is too high. It is said to be funny, and it is not necessarily said to pinpoint any particular right or wrong within society and that kind of thing. So they would say that's
Ricky Gervais would regularly joke about children having cancer.
He
right?
throws things into it, yeah.
And then you can poke fun of people and sort of either not bring them down or elevate them. I think it's when the comedy brings people down that then maybe that shield of humour can drop a little bit, maybe, is it?
Well, this is where you're in a difficult situation with it, because obviously there are people who get offended by this and who might say what you should or should not be offended by. But they would say, yes, it is hurtful that what they're saying, of what somebody the likes of Dave Chappelle or Ricky Gervais is saying. Whereas the likes of Dave Chappelle and Ricky Gervais would say this is not intentionally set out towards one individual. It's not intentionally set out towards even one thing of community. And they would compare that then to a joke in which they would have that they would consider if you consider that one to be taking away from a group or a community, then they'd have another one which is elevating a group or community. So that's kind of the way that he would discuss it. But I do think, having watched all of his show, all of the Netflix ones, because this is all about the Netflix came to him then after years of not doing any show, offered him $50 million. Who wouldn't? He came up with 5 shows for them. This is the last one. To be honest, to me, this one is the least funny out of all of them. There's a lot of different stuff that comes in the other ones. But I think if you're what really reason why I put it down here, because I've watched all of his and I never put them down on stuff before, is there's so much commentary about it and so much commentary that I'm reading and I'm like, yeah, that person has not watched this.
Yeah, I get you.
And I think that if people are reading the commentary and they're forming opinions on it, then you need to take the time to sit
People
down
shouldn't
and
be doing
watch.
that in anything, should they? Watch it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, watch it and see the context. And even just watching the last one doesn't even really give you the context, because the last one is supposed to answer all the questions and the complaints that he got over the 4 that he did previously. So you really want to do one or two of them of that, and so that you know where he's coming from with it and what he's talking about.
So do you want to rate the 5 as a whole then?
I really like Dave Chappelle because I like that type of humour.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think it's very. I don't know. I just really enjoy it. So I have to say I laugh out loud at least 4 or 5 times. All
So
the
what
way
would you give the whole series out of 10?
It's still, don't watch them one after another, because that can be a little bit much.
Yeah.
But separate them out a small bit, and then I would definitely give them an 8.
8 out of 10. Okay. Right. Are you familiar with Chappelle in terms of? I mean, you know who he is, but have you watched his stuff?
The only thing I've seen of Dave Chappelle, I'd be familiar with him all along, and as you say, walking away, Fionnuala, from a big deal many years ago. He did that special 846, which was it was on YouTube. It was done basically around the George Floyd incident. I watched it. It was the only one I watched the whole way through. I thought parts of it were funny, but he definitely struck me as an issue-led comedian. He's funny, but he wants to make you think. So I wasn't overly surprised. I saw the controversy. I seen it unfold on Twitter, which is where every controversy unfolds. And I wasn't that surprised. I thought that he's doing the thing that he does. The thing you said, Fionnuala, about people commenting without having watched his material, that I was nodding away to that. That happens a lot. I'm not surprised people are wading in. That happens with so many of these controversies.
Yeah, form your own opinion on anything. You know, I mean, following another's opinion on no matter what the subject matter is never healthy. You know, find out for yourself, think for yourself.
I know one thing I did see that was interesting, Fionnuala, I don't know if you saw this, but he references, as you said in the special, a friend of his, and the family of that friend stepped forward to say, knowing Dave Chappelle and so forth, they felt there was nothing. He wasn't having a go at anyone. He wasn't trying to put anyone down. They were like, that's the humor, and nobody would enjoy it more than the mutual friend who maybe has passed away. I'm not sure why they didn't speak out.
She did.
But
No, she took her own life. That's part
yeah,
of the
that's what.
story
Yeah,
that he talks about.
But that family stepped forward and said, no, there's nothing really here. That's not what he's about. So I thought that was interesting because it's an indication of people who know his material and know what he's about. Comedy, you know.
I just personally think, and you see it an awful lot without getting into the nitty gritty, so it's too serious, that people say something about an entire community, right? And then say it's okay because I know someone in that community that thinks it's okay, as if to say there's this sort of hive mind of people of a certain race or of a certain creed or of a certain sexual orientation. You know, you can't be greenlit just because one person from within that community who's an individual and everyone has their own views.
No, and to be honest, that is something that he actually even addresses in the thing.
Right.
But coming from the other side, that just because you feel that something that he says is offensive doesn't mean that your whole community thinks that it's, because he would be very much he was would be like a black activist as well, you know, in America, and that, so he's very much about, like, would talk about, you know,
but
I can't be a racist because my one friend, here's my one.
But DeBaby's defense was, I can't be offensive towards the gay community because I'm the victim of racism.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, and I agree. Like, and that is a topic that Dave Chappelle actually does discuss through his things. And like I say, he was not defending in any way what But DeBaby, I can't even say it properly. It's such a ridiculous name, DeBaby. I don't even know. I never even knew who DeBaby was before this happened.
Introduced him, and here's DeBaby.
DeBaby.
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't in any way justifying what DeBaby said. He was just talking about how things can happen and cause outrage. He says it himself. He says, even me who says stuff that people give out about, when I heard what Baby said, I was like, ooh, no.
Okay. A caller says, is Oliver Callan not just a poor man's Mario Rosenstock? He might be good at in-person impressions, but is it funny? I would have said the reverse. I would have said that Marion Rosenstock is a poor man's
to be honest,
I find Oliver Callan's humour...
I do. I agree. And I used to think that Mario Rosenstock was the number one, we'll say, and Oliver Callan was kind of the RTE version of it. You know what I mean? There are two different national stations. But I've seen Oliver Callan actually live, and now actually listening to his podcast. It's so on the ball. It's just and as you said, some of his humour and some of the Brexit stuff that he did was absolutely hilarious.
See, Oliver Callan's political commentaries, in the humour of it, he hits the marks as well. All right, then, you are tuned to the 9 till noon show. This is the entertainment slot with Michael and Fionnuala. Stay right where you are. We've an exciting launch for you of a competition here on Highland Radio coming up in around about 12 minutes. And between now and then as well, some live music for you.
The 9 till noon show with National Fuels, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. For all your solid fuel needs at the keenest prices. 9137 400 or nationalfuels.ie.
Get on the move in style with a brand new 212 Seat SUV. Choose from the Arona, Ateca and the all-new Tarraco. Take advantage of the PCP offer with finance from 0%. You also have the option to add a 3-year service plan for only $9.99 per month. Test drive and buy the new Seat range at DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Call 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie. You'll be glad you did.
At Centra, we have everything you need for the long weekend. Like inspired by Centra Fresh Irish Angus Sirloin Steaks, 440 gram, only €6. Tato Occasions, 135 gram selected sharing bags, half price now $1.38 each. And until Monday, Wolf Blass Eagle Hawk wine range, only €7 each. Centra, live every day. Enjoy, call sensibly.
Are you aged 17 to 25? Would you be interested in a construction apprenticeship in dry lining? Erigo Contracts, a market leader in the interior fit-out sector for Ireland, the UK and mainland Europe, are offering 2-year apprenticeships and guaranteed full-time employment on completion of the course, with the opportunity to earn £30,000 during your apprenticeship. So, if you're interested in training for your future, email careers@erigocontracts.com. That's careers@erigocontracts.com.
€10,000 per farmer in new agri-environment scheme. In this week's Farmers Journal, we reveal details of the new farm schemes in the next CAP, including more money for small farmers through front-loading, €260 million suckler scheme to replace BDGP, ANC money safe for 100,000 farmers, €25 million for dairy beef calves, sheep farmers to get €100 million for flock improvements, and 5 times more money for organic farmers. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Cross-border employers are invited to attend a free Employers Incentives lunch event on Wednesday the 27th of October at the Bishopsgate Hotel, Derry, organised by the London Derry Chamber and Urays Cross-Border Partnership in collaboration with the Letterkenny Chamber. Book your place by emailing Anna at londonderrychamber.co.uk.
Okay, good story, Michael Fionnuala. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio, and we're joined on the programme now by Ewan Cowley and Adele Murphy. Good morning to both of you. Thanks so much for joining us. You are muted, I believe. Oh, no, sorry, I don't have the fader. No, it's my problem. Relax, Ewan.
Oh, it's so me. Nice. It's somebody else's problem.
It's my fault, and it is resolved.
Wow.
Come here, tonight at 8 p.m. in the Bala Theatre in Ballybofey. Tell us about the show. Your musical director, Ewan.
Apparently so. Yes, it features Adele Murphy here beside me, who is a wonderful singer and someone I've known for a few years. We put this show together over the last couple of years. Adele is particularly good at singing songs that are written by women or about women, or they were made famous by women. So it's all a lucky coincidence. And so we put together a show that we like to think takes in the best of those sorts of songs, like by Joan Baez and Dolly Parton and Nancy Griffith and Kate Bush and those sort of artists. And now we're on tour. We're doing some shows.
And tell us about the show. It's not just simply because it would be amazing, Adele and band, but tell us more about how the show's presented.
Yeah, so there's a mix of spoken word and there's beautiful imagery along with all these beautiful songs. So we're doing songs, as Ewan said, by Joan Baez, Nancy Griffith. We move from, there's a timeline in the show as well. We move from basically like the Dust Bowl era all the way through the Vietnam War and then into more modern day. And just tell the stories of the women in the songs. Like a lot of songs are story songs, so there is a definite element of that storytelling going on throughout the show, which it makes it less of just a concert and more of like an actual intimate theatre experience, which is really enjoyable for me.
Yeah, these are iconic artists, iconic songs. Is it an honour or is there a bit of pressure in there to do them justice, Adele?
Well, Ewan has done some beautiful arrangements of them. So while we have a song like Jolene that everybody loves and everybody, everyone has, it's dear to people's heart, because Ewan has done such a lovely arrangement of it, we can really make it our own. So it's less daunting and more of a we're going to give you something new, but it's familiar still. And some of them are a big sing. I do This Woman's Work by Kate Bush, and I love it. I really enjoy performing it, but it's a big sing.
You have to have the vocals well warmed up.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, hopefully, by the time we get to that one in the show, I'm well warmed up by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And it's in the Bala Theatre, which is a beautiful venue for this type of thing, especially as you described it and what you're trying to achieve. It really lends itself to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been in touch with Conor Malone at the Ballard now for a few years, it seems, because we've had a few postponed for all the obvious reasons right now. So fingers crossed, and I'll believe it when it happens. But it's certainly happening tonight at 8:00 in the Ballard.
Well, listen, they've thrown us a few curveballs over the last 18 months. Hopefully, they don't do one with 9 hours to go.
Well, who knows, Greg? We do keep an eye on Twitter and see what happens.
We've learned not to take anything for granted in the last 18 months.
We're going to have to steal Micheál Martin's plinth for the next day or so to ensure nothing goes wrong. There are tickets still available, not many though, so get on it. If you want to see a great show, it's great to see live music back, but also staged with this quality of material, but also performers. Motherland Songs of the 20th Century. Get onto the Bala Theatre box office in Ballybofey. It's a cracking night out for a Friday, and what a way to start a long weekend. Are you going to sing something for us? It's not going to be obviously a true representation of what people can enjoy, but still you're doing us a favour here and playing us something live. We really appreciate it. Is this going to be Jolene? Is it?
Yeah. We'll do our version of Jolene.
All right, when you're ready, guys.
Just to add, we're in the Playhouse in Derry tomorrow night as well.
Okay, well, we'll recap that when you're finished as well, because that's important. A lot of our listeners, that actually will be easier for them to access. So we'll chat about that briefly afterwards. Take it away.
Cheers, Greg.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 please don't take him just because you can. Your beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like a breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. He talks about you in his sleep, there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. And I could easily understand how you could Please don't take him just because you can. You could have your choice of men, but I could never love again. He's the only one for me, Jolene. I had to have this talk with you. My happiness depends on you. And whatever you decide to do, Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 please don't take him, even though you can.
That's lovely. It's heartbreaking, that really, isn't it? You know, people listening to that would have been in the same boat. That's the voice there of Adele Murphy, who you'll know as well from Celtic Woman River Dance. Tonight's show combines music with evocative projected images and thought-provoking spoken word. Adele, who you've just been listening to, fronts a 5-piece live band to bring you through the Dust Bowl of the Great Depression into the homes of 1950s urban desperation, down streets of protest in the 60s, and into the confusion of the 21st century. What a journey it is, and it's a nice way to do it through music and through these artists. So just remind us, either of the two of you, the show's tonight in the Bala Theatre in Ballybofey. Starts at 8 p.m. Get onto the box office for those few tickets that are available, and then you're in Derry. When did you say, Ewan?
That's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock in the Playhouse in Derry. It's available online as well. The Playhouse is streaming the show.
Okay.
So if you're wherever you are across the globe, you can check it out.
It's going to be a real treat. That's obvious. Listen, both of you, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Greg.
Okay. Bye-bye, Adele. Bye-bye, Ewan. Okay, we'll be back with the big launch. Did you enjoy that, by the way, before we take the break, Michael?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. It's a
Okay.
classic, and that was a great rendition. I mean, it was fantastic.
Fionnuala?
Beautiful. I'm just laughing at Michael's facial expressions. Sorry.
Yeah. But if you ever watch him, sometimes I have a sneaky look at him on camera when the music's playing because he sings along and he gets so involved in it.
He's a true artiste. He's a true artiste.
Anyone,
True artiste.
if the back when David James was in performing live, I cut to the camera. So anyone who on Facebook or YouTube got a delightful view of Michael fully into it. Great stuff.
I'll have to get a lighter and do that whole thing of just kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sit in the dark.
I can see you doing it very soon. Thank you very much. Okay, stay with us because we have news of a huge competition. Is it a prize draw? It's a prize. It's not a
Prize,
competition.
yeah.
A big prize coming for you. It's exciting.
Get ready for winter with National Fuels, delivering home heating oil in Letterkenny and surrounding areas at competitive prices. National Fuels, 9137400. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Better value. It lives at Dunnes Stores, so enjoy spooktacular savings this Halloween. Mix and match any 5 for €5 across thrilling treats like snack-size Kit Kat Chunky and Chickadee's multi-packs plus My Waddy 1 litre range. And chilling freezer favourites like selected Goodfellas pizzas are only €2. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more, which means every trip to Dunnes Stores this Halloween means better value. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in next grocery shop with €50 or more.
At Audi, we understand the true value of a visionary idea. Because visionary ideas lead to progress. Now is the time to embrace progress and to make a change. Make a decision today with tomorrow in mind. Now is the time. Visit your local Audi dealer and order your 221 Audi today. Audi. Future is an attitude.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
At iMotors, formerly Inishow Motors, we have a fantastic range of used cars with competitive finance packages available. Choose from a selection of SUV, hatchback and saloons in petrol, diesel and hybrid, with warranties on all vehicles. Call in today to iMotors Drumkeen and Malin or check out our digital showroom online at imotors.ie. iMotors, we have your next car.
COVID-19 is still spreading in our communities. Vaccines are proven to be our best protection against serious illness from COVID-19. If you haven't had your vaccine yet, you're at higher risk. Talk to your GP or pharmacist, or come to a HSC walk-in vaccination centre for your free vaccine. Find details on hsc.ie or call our team in HSC Live on 1800 700 700. From the HSC, for us all.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated heat pump and underfloor heating. Visit grant.eu.
Okay, so bright, so sunny spells today, but a good deal of cloud overall. Scattered showers will feed in eastwards across the county and the region in moderate westerly breezes. The showers most frequent the further north you go. Temperatures 11 to 14 degrees. Okay, if I had a drum roll, I probably should be using it now because the card draw is back, Fionnuala.
Yes, very exciting. Normally I would have my trusty sidekick Sean to do this launch, so I wouldn't have to do it myself because he's better at it than me.
I'll be
I think.
your sidekick.
But perfect, thank you. But yes, we are delighted to announce the return of our card draw. It was very successful last year, and we had some fantastic winners because we had cash prizes as well as the lovely car itself, the Capture we had last year, and this year is even. I don't want to say even better because we've not to me across the road and I drive a Capture, but an equally nice, if not maybe slightly larger car. We are going with the Kia Exceed.
Now, it's live on our website right now, and I'm looking at it, and I know it anyway because I'll be up in iMotors quite a bit. Exceed's a beautiful, beautiful looking car.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, I think I call them an SUV, isn't that what they call them now? Or at least that SUV standard. It's a beautiful SUV standard car. So we have that car starting in our draw today. Very exciting.
Yeah.
No?
Yep.
It's on our
Exactly.
website. You can see it.
Here. Yep.
You can see it up on our website now. Tickets, we've managed to keep the tickets, even though, as I said, we have this slightly larger car online. So but we've managed to keep the price of the tickets the same. So the ticket price is €10. It's the same as it was last year. You can buy one for €10, 6 for 50, or 10 for €80. And what we've also done with it now is, I know it was a thing that came in last year and we worked very hard enough for the last year to get this ready, is that you can now introduce names for people. So if you're buying them as gifts or you wanted to get them for anybody along the way, you can put their name on the actual ticket when the email comes out to you.
Because we are a wee bit out as well. People's birthdays coming up.
Yeah,
special events
there's
like
birthdays
that.
coming
can
up.
actually be gifted. Is that what
Yes,
you're saying?
so they can be gifted. I know the last year when we did this coming up to Christmas, I know it was a big thing that people were putting into cards for, grandchildren, godchildren, everybody, friends, families, the work Secret Santa that's a tenner, that kind of thing, that people were putting it into it. So now when you buy your tickets, you can actually individualise. Even if you buy the 10, you can give them to 10 different people and their names occur in the tickets and it'll be allocated for each of them and that'll come up on your ticket.
Excellent. And it's still good for Christmas because the official draw takes place on the 23rd of December. So if you're gifting people
so we'll
stuff
be running
at
it
work
now
or whatever,
right up until the 23rd of December. And across the way, with the help of God, like we did last year, we'll be adding some surprises.
Well, we can't be
along
a surprise anymore because there's a ton of cash last year as well, which is great though because I remember with the draw it was winner after winner after winner. And
well,
it was
that's
lovely.
it. Yeah, last year we had it over. I think we added €5,000 to it, and we were giving out €1,000 on 5 separate shows as well as giving the car away. So it just made it a really great end to the Christmas. We decided to kind of stick with the Thursday with it because Christmas Eve now is on the Friday, so that's a little bit. I like to go home.
Why are you worried about the draw? That's Christmas time then. Who cares what day it is? It's
but
Christmas.
it's coming closer and closer. Slowly, and it's hard to believe it as you're going out and about more and more. You keep seeing all these decorations and stuff coming up.
Well, once we get Halloween out of the way, we're full on into Christmas season.
Yeah,
Now,
it just happens so fast.
It's really easy to enter. It looks beautiful, by the way, on the website. There's a banner across the top, and the card draw is in there. You can simply go for a single ticket for a tenner. You can buy 5 and get another free, so you get 6 chances for 50. And if you want to go the whole hog and you want to gift, maybe keep 3 for yourself and gift 5. Keep 5 for yourself and gift 5 for €80. You get 10 tickets, so that's equivalent of 2 free, 10 chances to win. And it's not just the cars. You said, hopefully, I'm sure there'll be layers of other prizes as things move forward.
Hopefully have a few surprises along the way as we move towards Christmas. And also, like Katie loves when I say this, but like last year, if anybody has any difficulties with the online, or if they don't like to use a card online or anything like that, they can just contact us here at the station and we can help them through it, and we can get the tickets sent out to them. So it's always
no one will be left out.
Yeah, nobody will be left out. This is open to absolutely everybody, all our listeners, and then we look forward to having a big day on December 23rd.
Okay, we'll be talking more about that, of course. Thank you very much, Fionnuala. Fionnuala gave Callan Kicks the Years RTE 6 out of 10. It's back on Wednesday. You can watch the first episode on The Player. The Closer by Dave Chappelle, the entire series on Netflix, 8 out of 10. And we heard from Midnight Mass from Michael Leddy, who gave it 8.5. Michael, thank you. Wish we had more time, but just the clock's against us. Thanks so much.
Guys, great chatting to you. Have a great weekend.
Take care of yourself. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend yourself. Enjoy your weekend, Fionnuala.
Next week we want to have nothing on it because I have to discuss Dune.
Dune is literally going to be discussed. John Bresson's on the way. He's going to be a minute late. My apologies to John and his listeners. But we'll be back with you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.
The 9 till noon show with National Fuels, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. For all your solid fuel